last stream was god-awful. I was trying to start us out on StreamYard, doing a new streaming platform, to try and see if I could have guests come on via our mobile live streams to show up in the chat. However, and to show up live and be able to converse with us and just kind of expand the experience here that we've been having on the streams. However, that was absolutely atrocious. I felt so bad about that, you guys. Definitely let me know if there were any issues on y'all's end for this stream, because that last stream, we had like 3 or 4 viewers who jumped in right away, and it immediately crashed and stopped working. So I decided, we're not using a StreamYard. I don't think my internet out here can handle it real well. So we're going to just go back to our regular streaming. The good news is I didn't do that during like a peak streaming time. I wanted to try a new experiment. It didn't work, unfortunately, but we're still here to be able to do everything via our regular stream. So I'm sorry, I tried to invite guests. That was one of the big hype things. I wanted to talk about constitutions, so I was going to invite guests on board to be a part of the conversation. But nonetheless, today we are talking about micronation constitutions, and we're going to have a conversation about that. So thank you guys for joining me. If you do like the stream, please like it. It helps to spread it around. And I really want to get into this topic because it's something that a number of people have talked to us about and have asked questions about. So I feel like it's important to address, and it's something that, as we continue to go, will be a big milestone for developing our community and making sure that the Empire of Aeternia, for example, with its guide of foundation and principles, is well understood and well adapted to citizen use. So you guys being here means a lot. If you can, drop me a comment, let me know you're there, because we have a good bit to talk about tonight. So the first thing, when we talk about constitutions for micronations, it's not something that's small at all. When you talk about planning the rest of your micronation, you have a name, you have a flag, you have a population, people are going down the checklist of the Montevideo Convention and just throwing stuff in there. That's all well and fine. And there's a lot that can be benefited from just trying to go through and make sure you have all those checklist items. That gives you a good understanding of kind of the symbolism and the culture of your nation, because, like we've talked about in previous streams, creating the symbols for your flag helps to show your ideology. Creating the name of your nation helps to give people that first impression of who you are and what you're doing. There's a lot that goes into just those bare bones basics, but then when you talk about developing a constitution, it is the first major milestone that you're going to hit. Even if you don't have any citizens yet, even if you're not doing anything that is considered large scale, or you're trying to like mobilize people or do anything like that, you're still always going to run into this issue of, okay, well, I hit a constitution. I need some kind of basic rule set. I saw, first off, Connor Hedden is in here. Connor, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Fake name from Casnaria joined us. Casnaria, it's good to see you. And they talked about that the Vatican doesn't follow the Montevideo Convention rules. And I agree with that. That's a whole nother topic. But the good news is, even though the Montevideo Convention is like the basic for micronations, and the thing that everybody uses as their checklist to see if they could get into the UN, and to see if they have what it takes to be considered a country, they still run into the same basic problems. Like you said, the Vatican doesn't even follow all of the necessary steps to be considered a nation by the Montevideo Convention, but they're still recognized all over the world. One of the things that they do have, however, are basic founding guiding rules. So that's something that I want to talk about. There's a groundwork that's laid out for it. Now, specifically in terms of the Vatican, that's based on, Roman Catholicism, and there's a whole, thousands of year history to that. But as far as many of our micronations that we're talking about, you may be developing this in the span of weeks, months, or years, but some people develop them overnight. So when you're talking about some kind of small-scale development and progress, hey, Mr. Brown, we're talking about trying to make something that people are throwing together quickly. And so a lot of the time when you're talking about doing that, those initial things that you're doing, making these flags, making these names for these places, it is really helping to inspire you to get ideas, to kind of be creative in it. But then you go a step further and you say, okay, well, what are the things that are important to me? why is it that I'm doing this in the first place? And that starts to get you thinking about the way that you would, in an idealized society, how would you live? How would you want to work? How would you, want people to be taxed? How would you want governments to run? These are all things that become really, really critical when you are going from just this concept on paper of wanting to start this thing to actually developing it in person, to have other people be convinced to support you and help you in the goals. These are all things that are really, really critical to get right and to continue to upgrade and adapt as you learn more. Your first development in creating some kind of foundational document is going to be really, really critical to who you are perceived as, but then as you move forward and you start to learn things and develop, you're going to want to upgrade quickly. So that's the case for Aeternia as well. I said founding document instead of like a constitution or something like that. A lot of micronations start and develop constitutions, but I don't really like the concept because it seems to like denote a specific thing. It seems to focus on like specifically developing laws and developing a formulation for crime and punishment, sort of a judiciary system. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Plenty of micronations develop based on their tendency to how they feel towards specific laws and legislation. But a lot of the time, micronations are not trying to pursue their own, their own arresting of people and things like that. That's not the point of a micronation. You're not trying to immediately go into punishing your citizens and ruling out crimes and things like that. You're trying to develop a basic understanding of how your people are going to live. That's why, for example, in Aeternia, the founding document is called the Guide of Foundation and Principles. It is not a constitution in the sense that it declares these are your rights, these are the crimes, these are the ways that things are set up. It really, really focuses down into the history of Aeternia, the culture of Aeternia. It focuses on some of the government structure, just like a lot of normal constitutions follow, but it goes beyond that to encompass kind of an understanding of what the Aeternian citizen is. This is a guide of foundation and principles that hopefully can be carried, in somebody's pocket or something. It's something that's fairly short, fairly concise, but really helps somebody to understand not only the rules that govern the nation, not only the concepts that surround its birth and its beginning, but also the overall feeling, the overall culture, the overall assumptions that someone should make as an Aeternian citizen as to what their life is going to be like. So that's a big thing to start out with, and that's something that's important to talk about. First off, we have a number of people in here, so I want to go ahead and start to answer some questions real quick. Fake News said better quality. I appreciate it. Again, last stream was kind of wild. I tried to get it started, but it didn't work out as well as I would have hoped to. Connor said, Connor Manisland is rewriting the Constitution. Congrats. Maybe you can use this video to help you out. Steven said, yo, Steven will actually come up in this video. Steven is the Master of Treasure for the House of, Master of the House of Treasure. He is one of our top tier government officials. He's in fact the only government official as of right now besides myself, and that's something that we're going to talk about as well in getting into what Aeternia's basics are. But it's good to see you, Stephen. Stephen asked, where am I? Right now I'm in a workshop. For the last several months, I think you know a little bit about this, we've been staying with Tiffany's family. So this is a space that I'm using right now to stream it because we're staying with Tiffany's family. Ryan says, hello. Hey, Ryan. Sorry about last stream. I was supposed to have Ryan on as a guest for our live stream, and we tried to set up StreamYard to do so, and my internet was absolutely awful for it. So it didn't end up working out like I wanted to, but I'm glad we tried it now. It's a late night stream, so it's not something where everybody like jumps in and then jumps out because of the stream issues. A lot of the time on these later streams, it really is our core group of people that we have. So I appreciate you guys being here, and I'm excited to talk about this topic. A lot of people really want focused help on developing their constitutions and understanding what it means to develop a founding document for a micronation. In the thumbnail and in the title, I call it a constitution, but I think it's more important to focus on the idea of a founding document, even if you're not going to call it a constitution, like Aeternia doesn't. Fake Name says there are no female Vaticans as citizens are based on working for the Pope. Interesting, I didn't know that. I knew it was connected to the Vatican, but I didn't know that it was strictly prohibited for females to work in the Vatican. Ryan says the Vatican doesn't count as a normal country, so comparison to it is weird. I agree with that. Fake Name says I have too many government officials and not enough citizens. That is a great that's a great thing to bring up, Casnaria. So that's a problem that can be potentially solved by your constitution. A constitution or a founding document really lays out the structure for a nation. Now, if that's a macronation like the United States, you're going to see hundreds and hundreds of pages potentially. You're going to see, rules of laws and setups that are going to be not even laws, but rules and setups and descriptions of a foundation for a government that is meant to hold thousands or millions of people, but and to structure and organize thousands or millions of people. But that being the case, for the micronations that we're talking about, you should be looking at a comparable size. So there are plenty of micronations that I've seen that have 100-page constitutions. And there is absolutely, in my mind, no need for that, especially if that's something that you are just starting out with. Now, it's not impossible to have one, you can certainly create reasons as to why you need that, but at the end of the day, it's not something that I can justify for Aeternia, and that I think a lot of micronations find themselves unable to justify, simply because you're putting in so much work to declare what it is that the basis of your nation is, that you're not giving it enough proper time to be developed and tested. If you put too hard a constraint on yourself right away, you will not give yourself any ability to grow and to test the waters of what you're doing, and vice versa. If you are too lackadaisical about it, people won't know what you're doing. They will see you doing things, but they won't have any clear understanding or reason as to the direction you're going, why you're doing these things, etc. So finding a sweet spot, being appropriately sized, and having a well-documented but concise constitution or founding document for a micronation is crucial to its successful marketing as well as its successful application. Fake Name, that is a huge problem that I think can be fixed through the development and curation of your constitution. Connor said, when will I be able to come on and talk? When will we be able to come on and talk? That's a great question. The original setup was going to be to have people come on via video through a StreamYard stream. However, my internet could not handle that at all. I thought, maybe it'll be able to kind of work out. It ended up crashing and causing problems right away. So I don't know that that'll be available for a while, unfortunately. This was kind of our big shot to see if we could do that. But I have to use my mobile data in order to run these streams, and that's not great, but it's functional enough for us to do these live streams like this. If I had better Wi-Fi, for example, Tiffany's family has decent Wi-Fi, but it's really expensive to get good Wi-Fi out here. The highest package they offer, I think Tiffany's family has, and even that is just, it's difficult to get good Wi-Fi out here. So that being the case, it's a situation where if I try to run the streams like I used to, where I had people coming in and out, and we had different videos that we were playing, and we had different events that we were doing, and different games we were playing with each other, it would crash the streams. It absolutely would not work. So the mobile data is the best I have for right now, and it's unfortunately not strong enough to host other people joining the stream, unfortunately. Casnaria said, my constitution is more like an organizational chart with me at the top, of course. That's respectable, and I think that's something that's interesting. The simpler that you can start out with a micronation's constitution or founding document, the more effective you're probably going to be in actually developing and running your nation, because it's something that people can remember. When they come in, you really need to be able to give them the short, sweet breakdown of what it is you're trying to do, so that when they relay it to other people, it's not some really complex thing that they don't feel like they have the time or effort or ability to explain. So that being the case, you really want to be able to make it something that's palatable for people. As well, we have 7 viewers right now and 4 likes. If you guys could like the video, it would help to spread it to a larger audience. Again, we're doing a late night stream, so I understand we're not going to get too many viewers here tonight. But I did want to say that we are at a really interesting point right now. We're over the 3,500 watch time hour mark, so we're pushing toward 4,000 with a fury. We're like going toward it. We're really close. We have less than 500 watch time hours needed right now in order to hit 4,000. As of today, we have, I think, 3,548 watch time hours. So if we get at least 2 watch time hours on this stream, which should be more than possible, we will hit 3,550. However, if we can push past that, if we can get like 10, 12, 15 watch hours tonight, that would prevent, one, us decreasing from any video becoming too old and us losing watch time hours because they go over the 365-day mark. And as well, it allows us to keep growing and speed up closer to 3,600. Our big goal right now, we're pushing for 3,500. We hit 3,500. We're almost to 3,600, and then we'll keep on rocking over to 4,000. So the quicker we get 36, the quicker we'll move on to 37, 38, 39, and then we'll do a huge stream, a blowout, something crazy, for us to make sure we hit that 4,000 and hit it quick. So if you guys want to see that, again, definitely like the stream. Help us to share this and get it out for other people so that we can spread the word of the micronational community and so that we can make money for our project. We're trying to monetize the channel, and so anytime you see ads on any of our videos, those aren't our ads. They're something that YouTube has put in and is running, but we're not making any money off of it. So it's definitely important to help us out as much as you can. Ryan said, if you make a constitution, don't be Alabama. Tell me about Alabama's constitution, Ryan. See, Ryan is a history buff. He's somebody who lives in Alabama, of course, but is also somebody who is well-versed in a lot of different points of political history. And so I'm curious as to what Ryan knows about Alabama's constitution that he can teach me tonight. Having as many references for your constitution as well is really important because, of course, you're going to look at larger scale governments like, the USA, France, Britain, South Africa, Australia, Canada, all these different places, Mexico, all these different places that have long-standing, well-developed constitutions. But at the same time, you're going to want to look at smaller places as well, sometimes local developments and infrastructure, because even though they may be piggybacking off of a larger federal constitution, they still have a good way to implement rules and a founding structure for dealing with a smaller group of people. So looking at things that are closer to your micronation scale are probably going to help you more accurately design your own. Looking at other micronations constitutions are also really important. Fake Name says, is it getting choppy for anyone else? That's a great question. Let me know, you guys. Raspberry says, I'm hopefully going to come back later. Just wanted to say hi. Oh, it's good to see you, Raz. If you can't come back by later tonight, I would say hop in tomorrow. We're going to have a big stream tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get a lot of people in and we'll get to talk about some crazy stuff. Fake Name says no. Connor says, can you do a Twitter space? I want to. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it tonight, just simply because I have to get it to play over my laptop, and right now we have like a 3D printer thing going. I feel like I could, but it'd be hard for you guys to hear it, and then on top of that, it would be something where I have to like leave this thing, go like set up a whole bunch of equipment, try it out. If it doesn't work, I'd have to like move the whole stream setup. So I think for tonight, we're just going to do this. I really want to get out some critical information to people, so the more that we can just have fun and hang out in this stream. Tomorrow, I should be doing an earlier stream. I'll probably be doing that anywhere from 10, 11 a.m. to 1 to 2 p.m., something like that. So if you guys, sometime in that time frame, want to catch me on stream, I'll make sure to post and advertise it like I did tonight. Unfortunately, all the advertising that I did tonight was for the wrong stream. I sent out a stream link to the StreamYard stream, and so I'm sure there are a number of people clicking on that and going, oh, it's done. It was a 5-second stream and it was awful. So if you guys want to see some primo content. You guys want to jump in during one of our more hype sessions, definitely jump in tomorrow. Again, I'll be advertising it and I'll let you guys know. Support Ukraine says, hey, I'm going to make a video showing the 4 flags I made to see which one is the best one. That sounds hype. Let me know how it goes. You could do a big poll and you could be like hyping it up to see which one becomes the flag of your nation. I'd be excited. Ryan says, yeah, it's choppy. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, you guys. Let me know if it gets better. I really hate that it's choppy for y'all. I want to try and fix that, but I don't know where I would go to get better stream quality. See, like even when I'm having like nothing else on the stream, it can still be a little bit difficult for people to see. Ryan said, if you want to know just an overview of the terribleness of Alabama's Constitution, check out the picture I linked on Aeternia Discord. Oh goodness, I will. Connor said, it's very choppy. Oh gosh, well I appreciate you guys hanging out with us even through the horrible chop. It may be choppier than a little toothpick boat in a tsunami. I'm sorry, you guys, that's rough. Master Dionite said, yes, it's very pixelated. What's up, Master Dionite? It's good to see you. Thank you for hanging out and joining us. I will say, just for you, Master Dionite, you're not going to be able to see it at all because it's so choppy, but bam, I got the leg wraps on. I have some Eternian leg wraps on. I have, of course, my ascot that I always wear, but I do have, I'll try to do a high kick. No, it didn't do it. It didn't do it at all. Maybe right here. I have our leg wraps on. So that's a part of Aeternian culture. Even when I went out to the party with Ryan and them for Ryan's birthday, I wore the leg wraps. We went out in public. I was talking to people, and so yeah, I've been trying to make that more of an everyday thing for me to represent Aeternia. Connor says, what are you 3D printing? I'm not 3D printing anything. Tiffany's father has a 3D printer. He's 3D printing some stuff. Fake Name says, I can barely see AP. I don't think a Twitter space would work. I agree. It is definitely not a good night to try and do that. I'm sorry, Casnaria, that we're not able to hit it up. Ryan says, even at 144p, the stream is choppy. Oh gosh, is there a way that I can like fix the stream issues? Like maybe, damn, I wish there was like a setting I could do. Now that I'm live, it's hard for me to like adjust it. But dang, I wish I could. Ooh, Master D-Night says, I like those leg wraps. Thank you very much. I want to do a video on there. Ooh. Hey, Jason joined. Hey, Jason, good to see you. Jason said you popped up randomly on my YouTube. It's different from the normal cars and guns that show up. Jason, I appreciate you hanging out with us. That means a lot. If you guys don't know Jason, he's been in some previous streams talking about cars and guns and stuff. It's good to see you, Jason. Thank you for hanging out with us. And also, Aeternia Forever. It means a lot that you're joining us. We're talking about constitutions tonight. Let me know if it's still choppy and gross. I'm sorry about that. I wish there was a way that I could fix that. Ryan says, I'm going to get regalia this summer as well as a diadem. Hey, congratulations, Kisnaria. Torrent says, I have a 30-page constitution and still have more to add. It's necessary in the long run. Hold the conversation for 16 minutes. Makes sense. Absolutely. I will say, Torrance, I hit you up with your flag and stuff. Let me know how it looks in Discord and if you're satisfied with it. Master United says, nice. The pixels look nice. I appreciate it. I'm sorry again for the choppiness, but it does mean a lot. Connor says, what is he 3D printing? I'm not 3D printing anything. Master United says, I like those leg wraps. Thank you. Jason says, too much Wi-Fi usage, sir. Sorry about it. It's weird because I'm not even on Wi-Fi. Right now I'm on 4G. I'm on my mobile data. Even when I do get on the Wi-Fi here, it's like worse. So I'm glad to have the mobile data. Fake name said Jason. Jason said fake name. They connected finally through the chat. Ryan says, I mean, it's an internet connection issue. What's the speed? Do a speed test. Ryan, am I gonna do a speed test in the middle of the stream on my phone? That's the thing. It's my like 4G data, so it's not like I can do like a Wi-Fi speed test. I will do a speed test on their Wi-Fi, I guess, but it's not great. Like, I know it's worse than this. Connor says, is Jason the guy we see all the time on stream? Yes. Yes, he is. Fake name says, I have a prototype T in the notebook. It's very bootleg. Ooh, very cool. Turns out I survived. Jason said, turns out I survived the last stream when I was blacked out. We appreciate you surviving, Jason, and it is good to see you. Tiffany's family, including Jason and I, are going to be going this weekend on a camping trip, so make sure to check that out, guys. I'm probably not going to live stream too much unless there happens to be good Wi-Fi, and then I might stream a little bit, but we'll have some fun stuff to record and bring back for you. I have been slacking on talking about the Constitution talk, so we're about 30 minutes into the stream. I'm going to go ahead and talk about constitutions. Finally, the addition that I wanted to make, talking about Constitution. Hey, Jason says, dude, it's going to be great on the trip. Agreed. If we can stream. Let's do it. We'll have a lot to record. We'll have a lot to stream and have fun with. So if you guys want to check that out, definitely hit us up. The big thing for me, right? Constitutions are something that help people understand what your nation is about. When I was trying to explain Aeternia to Jason and Megan, who have never heard of micronations before then, I was having to do so in terms of things that make sense to someone who's never heard of a micronation before. So just talking about regular politics, talking about some of the issues that I have with the way that the government works, and what I think can be a solution to kind of taking things in your own hands from a perspective that you can do so legally. You know, trying to build businesses to support a community, trying to be able to create you know, institutions that build equity for people and allow people to be supported, and trying to make sure that the land that the government controls is something that is able to be freely used by people, and is something that, you know, allows people fundamental basic quality of life things, such as housing. These are things that are not able to be afforded to us in the U.S., but are allowed and encouraged in Aeternia, something that we can kind of take into our own hands and help to provide additional benefit for people. But that's kind of difficult to do. It's a lot better to be able to just have a constitution, or in our case, a founding document, that just sort of describes that and just says, this is what Aeternia is, this is what the government is, this is what the culture is, these are what the citizens are, these are important people, these are important historical milestones, and so on and so forth. So if you look at our Guide of Foundation and Principles, right now we have our version 1 on our website. You can check that out at Aeternianempire.wixsite.com/Imperial Market, or if you type in the Empire of Aeternia on Google, it should be one of the first links. That being the case, when we talk about that very first iteration of the Guide of Foundation and Principles, all we're talking about are a few basics. We have an intro, which is just, you know, it's a brief description of Aeternia, just saying that, like, hey, because of the problems that we saw in the United States and in general, essentially in 121st century society, we had this issue where we wanted to create a new nation. And in fact, in the Guide of Foundation and Principles says it necessitated that. So the problems of today necessitated new nations to arise. And one of those nations was the Empire of Aeternia. We say we happened to come in to development at a time that was primed for micronationalism. So that's the first introductory statement, and saying, you know, that we want to do this to better the lives of our people. That's the introduction. So that's a great way for us to blanket statement describe what it is that Aeternia is. If someone, you know, an alien came to Earth and they had no idea about countries or nations or whatever, they could still make sense of that. Hey, there were problems in our societies. We tried to create new societies that were necessitated because of the problems of the old societies. We're doing that to better the lives of the people who come after us and to restructure things. So that gives a clear, concise, quick understanding of what we're doing, why we're doing it. We talk about continuing into further parts of the Guide to Foundation Principles, we talk about the technology is really important, and that we use technology to forward that. So it gives you even more description. Not only are they trying to start a country, and not only are they trying to do it because of the problems that they saw, they're using modern technology to fix those problems and to try to address them quickly and neatly. So, moving forward, we have the basic structure of our government. We go straight from declaration of who we are to description of the government. So we describe the emperorship, saying, the emperorship, first off saying Aeternia was founded by Emperor AP, yada, yada, yada. Emperor AP is the Emperor of Aeternia. The emperorship in general is the absolute monarch of Aeternia. The Guide to Foundation and Principles is a way of describing their Emperor AP specifically's will in initially founding the empire, but that more so than that, the emperorship is a way for the leader of Aeternia to dictate their will, and that the government of Aeternia is the facilitator of that will. So, as we continue on, we start to describe parts of the government and effectively describe them from that definition, saying that the emperor is the person who is giving directions. They are the person whose will the government follows. In the governmental structure, we have houses, and houses are the different parts of Aeternian society, special interest groups that are based around important factors that need to be thought about when developing new plans for Aeternia. Right now we have two of those that are focused on. The first is the House of Treasure, which deals with everything monetary. That includes our businesses, that includes our treasury, that includes our investments. Anything dealing with money goes through the House of Treasure. Then secondly, we have the House of Others. The House of Others describes everything else, dealing with everything external to Aeternia. So dealing with marketing, dealing with citizen recruitment, dealing with foreign relations. All of that falls under the House of Others. And so we decided on those two initial houses to focus on the primary aspects of Aeternian government that will most immediately need to be given extra support. So most other things I can do myself. I can tend to developing a lot of our infrastructure here, for example in Vitae, myself. I'm nearby the territory. I'm not super nearby it, but relatively speaking to all of our other citizens, I'm nearby the territory, so I can go and develop and work on those things. I can do a lot of our technological programs myself. And projects myself and continue to develop those. But the two biggest things that we needed were people to help us with our marketing, with our advertisement, with citizen recruitment, stuff like that, dealing with the House of Others, and dealing with other micronations, all of that in the House of Others, as well as people to help us with our monetary side of things, with growing the investment that Aeternia brings in and allowing us to pursue that investment in a smart way. So anytime we do get money that we're able to use for the Empire of Aeternia, how are we going about using that? What's the plan that we have in place for each dollar put in? And how do we grow that economy that we're building? So that being the case, those were the two that we focused on. That's what's described immediately. Then we go into the hierarchy of those houses. We have the house master, who is the overarching leader of a house. They report directly to the emperor. Then below them are nobles. House nobles are given specific duties internal to a house. So they may be leaders in and of themselves of a specific part. So for example, in the House of Others, you may have one house noble that's specific to foreign relations. You may have one house noble that's specifically toward media marketing. You may have one house noble that's specifically dealing with citizenship recruitment. And all of them will report directly to the house master, who will then report to the master of the House of Others, who will then report directly to the emperor. So all of that is the kind of basic chain of command of Aeternian government. We describe that within the first 2-3 pages of the Guide to Foundation Principles, at least its first iteration. it was crucial for us to be able to get that out there so that people understand how they're being represented and what the role of government in Aeternia is as they become a citizen. If you want to learn about citizenship in Aeternia, the first things that you need to know are why this is a thing, why Aeternia was developed in the first place, and how Aeternia runs. From there, we start talking about aspects of our culture. So our culture, we describe our use of the Holocene calendar. So in Aeternia, as the normal Gregorian calendar defines it to be June in the year 2022, for the Empire of Aeternia, the year is 12,022, and it's June of 12,022. This is more respectful to and more accurate to earlier human civilization, and tries to describe a time that was approximate to the start of human civilization. And so we are proud to have adopted the Holocene calendar in the Empire of Aeternia. Moving forward, we talk about Aeternian holidays. So we briefly give overviews of important aspects of Aeternian holidays, such as our founding day, such as Gary's Day. All of these being really big things that allow us to move forward and to grow as a people in connection to one another. Okay. So real quick, I want to run into a few different conversations that everybody's having. Jason said I lost a drink. Connor says the vodka was an accident. I put fruit in a sealed jar for a few weeks, and well, I didn't drink it. Yeah, I wouldn't, Connor. Jason said, Connor, just admit you tried baking mashed potatoes and ended up with vodka. Oh, goodness. First off, Richard joined us. Richard, it's good to see you. If you guys don't know, Richard is an Aeternian citizen, a long-standing Aeternian citizen, and also one of our highest on the aristocrat board. Richard is in second place on the aristocrat board. He is our second aristocrat, and he is a wonderful contributor to our community. So thank you for being here tonight, Richard. We are talking about future iterations of the Guide to Foundation and Principles. So this is something that applies directly to our citizens, and it's something that is wonderful that I am excited to have people here to talk about, because it is going to be super, super important that as we create this second iteration of the Guide to Foundation and Principles, we really have people's support and understanding for what we're doing. Connor said LMAO, so a preamble? Yes, absolutely. Thank you for correcting me. A preamble was the thing that I was thinking of, but I couldn't come up with the correct phrasing. Good on you, Connor. Thank you for correcting. Connor says, I visited a natural springs on someone's farm. Hey, very cool. Congratulations. Ryan says, an alien would have to learn the language you wrote your message in first. No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't, Ryan. They're smart enough. They know it already. We're assuming a lot in this alien analogy, but bear with me. Connor says, question mark, will Aeternia ever become a republic? That's a great question. In the event of my death, there could be a situation where Aeternia becomes something similar to a republic, but no, never fully a republic. The United States, in many senses, is a republic, and I don't like the way that it's formed and developed. I appreciate a lot of what the United States gives us and the opportunities that I've had through the United States. It's my home and always will be my homeland, but at the same time, developing Aeternia has taught me a lot about what a nation can be, and I don't think a republic is the way of the future. So I think if Aeternia develops into something more democratic, it will have a lot of benefit for its citizens and a lot of citizen control, but it won't be a republic. I think that leads to a lot of problems. Ryan said, fake name says, Ryan, that's assuming an alien is capable of communication in the same way we are. Y'all are getting into the analogy too much. Just allow the analogy to be what it is. Torrance says, yo, what up, homies? Yo, Torrance, it's good to see you. Richard says, and again, Torrance, make sure you check out the work that I did for you. Richard says, it's amazing how guiding principles evolved over time. Absolutely. Real quick, I want to say to Torrance's thing, if you guys didn't know, I do work via Photoshop. I do graphic design work a little bit, and Torrance hired us to create designs, digital designs, for updating the King Mania's flag. So if you guys need any graphic design work done, let me know. I'm going to plug it myself a little bit here. You can either email us, turnianempire@gmail.com, or hit me up via Discord. But we're going to use that to actually have a business that's being developed in Aeternia. Vincent, one of our newest citizens, is starting a flag making business where he's actually going to take designs from different people and turn them into real flags. So if you are interested in Vincent's flag development talents, we will be offering that. I believe he's getting his business officially launched in July through Aeternia, so be sure to check that out. Richard says, it's amazing how the guiding principles have evolved over time. Absolutely, and are going to continue to evolve. Again, like the iteration that we have right now of the Guided Foundation Principles is still considered issue 1. It's still considered iteration 1. And so as we come out with future iterations, we're going to need that support from you guys. The first thing that I'm thinking about adding to the Guided Foundation Principles is about a quick summary of our history, because we have that on our website, but we don't have that on our Guided Foundation Principles. So I think giving a brief overview of where we've come from is kind of the next thing that a citizen would really need to know in order to appreciate, for example, some of the holidays that we already have established there. But on top of that, we have a really important development in tying into the history of Aeternia, that being in Aeternia's first territory of Vitae. Having Vitae be described in Aeternian foundations and in Aeternian principles allows us to move forward with describing residency. Residency is something that we're just now starting to establish in Aeternia, allowing people to come and live at Vitae, but in order to do that, people, one, need to understand the history of what we've been doing to lead up to Vitae, and now that we do have Vitae and are working on it, people need to understand what Vitae is and how we're developing it, so that they can appropriately decide for themselves whether or not residency is something that is a good fit for them. And that makes it easier for us to then describe residency in the Guided Foundation Principles and put that up close to the government section. So we'll probably have, going into our culture section, describing our history, and then going back into, probably right below the government section, going in and describing residency as a continuation for what citizens can do. We also describe a little bit in our Guided Foundation and Principles about different license and the licensing systems. And that kind of goes into the government structure, where we have a citizenship license, a foreign dignitary license, and what we call a sovereign's license as of right now. That describes, of course, citizenship. Once you become a citizen of the Empire of Aeternia, you get a digital citizenship license. Actually, for our two newest citizens, for Vincent and for Anthony, I need to actually create their citizenship licenses. So that'll be a neat surprise for them coming up pretty soon. But moving forward with that, we also have, and that's something that is a digital copy for free, and then if you want to purchase a hard copy, you can get that via the Imperial Market. We also go into foreign dignitaries licenses, which is essentially a country's way to have direct representatives come to see us. So for example, as we develop Vitae further, if a nation wants to have a dignitary come to represent their nation, to transact with us, to create a deal with us, to pick up things from Aeternia, let's say, that are rightfully belonging to that country, they would need to appoint somebody as a foreign dignitary that could make decisions on their behalf, whether that's the leader themselves of that nation or whether that's somebody who is sent on the leader's behalf. We need to have somebody that we know is an appropriate official point of conversation directly to that nation. Somebody, again, who is trusted to make decisions and who can enter into official diplomatic agreements with us for that nation. So that's what a foreign dignitaries license is. That is something that we developed through a program of ours for different micronations that want to connect with us, and nations can become a part of that for like $5 a month on our Patreon, including anything and everything you would need to connect with us foreign relations wise, including foreign dignitaries licenses. And then finally we have sovereignty licenses, sovereign's license, which works into creating a business in Aeternia. So generally, only citizens or on some occasions foreign dignitaries can establish businesses in the Empire of Aeternia. But if you wanted to establish a business and you were not a citizen in the Empire of Aeternia, you could still technically do that and provide your skills to other people, not only in Aeternia, but in Aeternia's full foreign relations network through a sovereign license. So that essentially describes someone as having special skills, as being someone who is independent and works through micronations, as opposed to working through a macronation, a regular government or business entity, and that then allows them to move forward and engage as a trusted individual within this sphere of influence of different micronations. That's a whole section in and of itself that we describe, so that people go through and they go, huh, okay, so now I know what Aeternia is, now I know what the basics of it are, I know a little bit about the culture, I know the government, and now I know what I need to do next. So depending on whether you're reading this as a citizen, a member of another micronation, or a citizen of or government official of another micronation, or even as somebody who's just interested in Aeternia for business pursuits, you now have a direction to go. You've realized, hey, if I want to do something in Aeternia, there are specific things I need, and I now have a way to go about doing it. So I feel like that has kind of streamlined an approach for people to not only learn more about us through our guided foundation of principles, but literally to have that as a guide for individuals wanting to interact with our community. It gives them a direct approach to figure out what they need to do to take the step to achieve whatever goal they have for us. So, multiple things. Benjamin says hi. Hey Benjamin, it's good to see you. Richard says, I'm considering restarting Aldera. I have a new plan for it. Congratulations, Richard. I will say, if you're talking about like another micronation, I would be really sad, because if you developed a new micronation, it would mean leaving Aeternia, and that would break my heart. I would still be appreciative of you for the time that you've been here, but as we all know, you can't be a citizen of Aeternia and another micronation. So I'm excited to talk to you about it more and to learn a little bit more about your thoughts. But I do hope you decide to stay with us in the end. If you do decide to pursue your own micronation, though, let me know. Like, I'll be excited to see what you want to do for your future. Fake Meme says, the current age of republics is dying, a new age of monarchy is dawning, it will end republics, will rise again, and so on. I don't know about that. I don't know if there's like a new age of monarchies or whatever. I think the reason that Aeternia is a monarchy is for a very particular reason. For micronations, I think monarchies work really well. And so it allows people to develop something that they want to with a really pointed focus, and to push through a lot of things that they need to develop that may not be necessarily beneficial because it has such little regulation when you're talking about dealing with a society of hundreds of thousands of people. So I think dealing with larger government structures and institutions, I don't think monarchies are like making a comeback. I think it's definitely getting more and more democratic and more socially liberal as time moves on, or more socially adequate, I should say, socially equitable. So that being the case, I don't think we're going to see a whole bunch of new monarchies start popping up in the macro sphere. But I do think that it's necessary to discuss why monarchies are important for micronations. Torrance says, I like the design. I'll message you with some follow-up requests and get that first payment to you during the stream. Hey, thank you very much, Torrance. I appreciate it. It means a lot. Benjamin said, did you get our Constitution on Discord? I'm sure I did. I'm not able to check Discord right now because I'm on the stream. Once I hop off the stream, I'll be able to do a lot more, and I can get back to you, Benjamin. Connor says, Emperor AP, your opinions on Trump? Hey, if you want to check out my opinions on Trump, I did a whole video on that, but I will give you a basic rundown. I don't like him. I am really disappointed in the United States for ever having elected Donald Trump. I just don't like him as a politician. I didn't really care about him as a business person. Like, I didn't know a ton about him before he ran for political office, but as with all political campaigns, once you start to learn about someone's politics as well as their private history through the airing of dirty laundry during the political campaign, you start to form an opinion of them pretty quickly. I did not find Trump to be a savory character. That's my opinion. I will leave the rest of that. I've talked specifically about policy issues and stuff with him in other videos. Whenever he got impeached, I made an entire video on that. So if you look up the Empire of Aeternia Trump impeachment, you should be able to come up with something. Or if you look on our channel specifically for like Trump impeachment stuff, you should be able to find it. Torrance says, fake name Crown Republic is the chief. Oh, interesting. Torrance is like Crown Republic specifically. Torrance says Connor Hetner, AP loves Biden. That's a meme as well. I do not love Joe Biden either. Joe Biden is way too moderate in my opinion. Everybody wanted Joe Biden to come in and be like the like liberal, like leftist or whatever to like combat Trumpism, and he really didn't. He was trying to play both sides to just like get the election away from Trump, which he managed to do, but I don't like him at all. I think, a lot of people come after him for like scandal stuff or whatever, because this or that or the other. That's not why I don't like him. I think he should have much more liberal policies, and he doesn't. He's, basically going to do nothing in office. Like, he's not going to push for the policies that liberals or progressives want, and he's not going to push for the policies that conservatives want. He's going to do basically just riding the wave out until whoever the next president is going to be. And I think that's really sad. He has the opportunity to do a lot and push forward a lot of progressive change, and he's just not going to do it. One of the big examples of that is marijuana legalization, stopping a lot of arrests and things like that, because he could push that through federally like now. Like, he could do an executive order and get that done. Expanding healthcare rights for people, living wage rights for people and stuff like that, advancing the federal minimum wage. He could do all of those things and just isn't. So this is a whole thing. Connor says, LOL. Terrence says, I set my quality to 720 and it got worse. I'm sorry, Terrence. Damn. I think YouTube tries to like auto-regulate what it is for you, so if you set it at a defined thing, it may freak out. Ryan says, I legit wouldn't recommend anything higher than 144p for this stream. Oh gosh, I'm sorry you guys. I know that's trash quality. Torrent says, I don't know what these numbers mean anyway, Ryan. It's pixels per inch or whatever. It's the number of pixels. So the lower the number, the lower the quality, but the higher the number, if you have a low quality stream, it'll just get super laggy. So lower the quality, I would say. Big Name says, if you look at history, there were monarchs, then republics, then more monarchs. Now we're in a republic era. I get you. Connor says, Aeternia is becoming a commie? No, not at all. So I have always ascribed to like fairly socially equitable policies. So I am in favor of, and always have been, a place to live being like a human right. That's why when people come to live in Aeternia, you can have a basic place to live for free. We don't charge you for that. All you have to do is meet our citizenship requirements. As long as you can become a citizen, which has a path that is completely free, as long as you're like dedicated to making your life and developing it in Aeternia, that's all you need to be in Aeternia. And that's all you need to get like free housing in Aeternia. Of course, that doesn't cover everything. You still have to pay for utilities, you still have to pay for food, but that's stuff that we can offer right now as a way to save people a lot. Tiffany and I got kicked out of our apartment, not literally kicked out, we chose to leave because they nearly doubled our rent. And that was something that was happening everywhere in the area that we were at. So we were really forced into the situation that we are now. My father is going through a similar thing with his apartment, because he was in the same apartment complex that we are, that we were before we decided to leave. So once his lease is up, his rent will double, and he can't afford that. So that's part of the reason for us getting Vitae and developing it, is so that we don't have to worry about rent anymore. We don't have to suffer under landlords anymore, and that's something that no one can take away from us so long as we pay the property tax there. That being the case, one of the great things that we can start to do with that is offer the same opportunity to other people. And that's part of sort of the social equity that we want to provide for other people in Aeternia. We are trying to benefit people at the bare bones level in our society, because we know that any extra income that they use and have with them, they can help to improve their life, to invest in becoming a business owner, to invest in their government and in the society that they live in, to invest in education for their children and protection, for example, through healthcare, to make sure that they live a long time and live comfortable lives and stay healthy for longer throughout their lives. Those are all things that improve a society and allow people to work longer and do more and be more creative and express themselves more, come up with new ideas. They're all benefits. Fake Name says Joe Biden also has a history of racism. He 100% does, especially with the crime bill. There's like a whole bunch of stuff to talk about with that. Joe Biden is trash, but so is Trump. Richard says Aldera in its new form will be a monarchy. A new monarch will be elected upon the removal of the monarch for mental and or physical health reasons. Makes sense. Richard, if you're already like starting it, let me know, because I would have to remove your citizenship, and that sucks. I really don't want to, but you gotta let me know. Like, let me know if that's what you're doing for sure. Ryan says Joe Biden also has a history of having sexual misconduct accusations against him. Yes, 100%. Those shoulder rubs are too much. Richard says it's still going to be based on libertarianism. Torrance says Connor Hetner, no one knows. AP refuses to denounce communism, but I do not believe he ever claimed Aeternia was a communist micronation. Communism is stupid. Torrance, I don't believe communism is stupid. That's the thing. Like, you're like, AP doesn't denounce communism. That's true. I don't denounce communism. I don't reject communism. Communism is a thing. It's just a thing. I have socially equitable policies that I want to push for, but I don't ascribe to communism. I'm not saying I'm a communist, because I'm not. Aeternia is not communist. But we also don't mind other people being communists. It's just not a problem. Like, if there's a micronation that is communist, we'll be friends with it. That's fine. As long as they're like cool people and everything works out, yeah, good for you, whatever. As long as you're not like hurting people and doing bad stuff, that's fine. The only people that we won't do that for are fascists, which is based on like a actual, like, they have to be hateful in order to be ascribed under that ideology. There are no like good fascists. However, there can be good communists, and there are plenty of examples of good communists. Connor Hetner says Joe Biden is a neoliberal. I think he's pretty moderate. Torrance says libertarian, nationalist, socialism, and humanism will save the human race. Richard Taylor, going hard on these terminologies. Connor Hetner says Kingman, I was joking. Torrance says I wasn't Connor. Torrance is hard on it. Richard says, Torrance, I believe the same thing. Interesting. Torrance says, Richard Taylor and Joe Biden, Richard Taylor about Joe Biden or libertarian, nationalist, socialism, or both. Connor says, Parkistopia was communist. Yes, 100%. Parkistopia was communist. And we were friends with Parkistopia. They were our first ally. And one of our favorite allies as well. Fake Name says, Ben Shapiro described Trump versus Biden debate as Swedish Chef versus Chewbacca. LOL, one guy screaming and the other guy not making any sense. What? Which one makes sense? What are you talking about? What? Also, don't get your talking points from Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is gross. Ben Shapiro, oh my gosh, Ben Shapiro is gross too. Oh no. Washingtonia official says Joe Biden is an old dude in the senior home. Hey, what's up, Washingtonia? It's good to see you. Thank you for hanging out with us. We got 9 viewers right now in the chat, and you know what that means. If we got 9 viewers for an hour, we'd have 9 watch time hours. Simple maths, quick maths. But if we had 9 viewers for 2 hours, what would that make? 18 watch time hours, quick math. All we need are 11 watch time hours every single day to be able to reach 4,000 watch time hours in 365 days. So if we can get past 11 watch time hours tonight, which we should be able to do pretty quick, pretty easy, we are well on our way to be able to get up tomorrow, do another bigger live stream, and have everybody hang out and get banger watch time hours. Tonight, we're trying to get over 3,550 watch time hours, which right now we're at 3,548 watch time hours. So the closer we get to like 3570, like 3560, 3570, the more that we do the stream, the longer that people hang out, the more people we get in the stream, which helps from your liking the video. If you're new to the stream, you're just jumping in, definitely like it to get even more people in the chat, and when you do, it will help us to get closer and closer to that 3,600 watch time hour goal. We could get that in the next few days if we really pushed, and then if we kept going from that, we could get 37 and then 38 and then 39. We can hit that pretty quick. Richard Taylor says libertarianism. Torrance says all my opinions come from Shapiro, Peterson, and Rogan. Oh gosh, Torrance, what are you doing? You better be memeing. The worst gang. Bad gang. Sad gang. Don't do it. Fake Name says we should stop bashing the president before we get black bagged. Oh, like thing thrown over your head, carried out the door. Makes sense. Got him. Torrance says Richard Taylor live free. Oh goodness. Richard said my opinions come from lots of research and making up my own mind. Makes sense. Washingtonia says all my opinions come from Fox and Australian news networks. Don't do Fox News. Don't do Australian news networks. Good on you. Fox News? Kind of gross. At least in the U.S., Fox News is trash. Fake Name says Torrance, I identify with their position, but watch other people, especially liberals. Makes sense. I definitely support. I support a lot of like smaller. Oh gosh, it's not even smaller channels. I will say I just support a lot of like liberal channels and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I watch a lot of comedians. I watch a lot of like commentators, but not. I don't watch that I know of really any conservative commentators. It's just not my interest. It's just not my my political leanings. But I definitely get like I watch some of it anyway through like other commentators commenting on the conservative commentators. So I see some of their stuff anyway. But I'm not a fan. I have to say. Torrance says fake name. I'm fairly certain I'm already on an FBI list. Oh goodness. Torrance says I was joking, fake name. I don't listen to those guys besides occasionally Rogan clips. Not completely against them. First off, I'm glad you're memeing Torrance. I was like, Torrance, don't do it to me. Oh no. It's good that you don't really hit it up that much. I've watched Joe Rogan talk about like alien stuff. I had a roommate who liked watching Joe Rogan stuff in college, and we watched like him talking about like aliens and like conspiracy theories and stuff. That one was kind of interesting. But still, yeah, I've never gotten into Joe Rogan. Connor says, I actually like Jordan Peterson a bit, even though I'm a socialist. A lot of people do. I feel like some of his takes are weird, though. A number of his takes are weird. Big Name says, don't do CNN either. Makes sense. Ryan says, the guys behind Fox News are from Australia. Oh, you taught me something, Ryan. Ryan gave me an interesting checkmate there. Fair enough. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's news to me. It's Fox News to me, and it's still gross. I don't know about it. So yeah, not all Australian news channels are good. Some bad Australian news channels. Richard says CNN sucks. Benjamin said Jordan Peterson barf. Agreed. Torres said Richard Taylor most American news media. Agreed. Washingtonia says today I was on the light rail and saw a dude with a Cascadia flag on his backpack and we just chatted for a bit. Hey, very cool. That's awesome. Was he doing like micronation stuff or was it just like, yeah, I support like the bioregion type of thing? If you guys don't know, Cascadia is like a Washington, Oregon, maybe like Northern California type connection of like people who believe that should be like its own unique thing, because it's like a similar like bioregion. It's a whole concept. Richard says Torrance Kingdom true. Fake Name says most media. Washingtonia says he supports. Washingtonia says I plan to make peace with Cascadians. Hey, very cool. Again, you gotta like teach me a little bit more about Cascadia. Was this guy like a micronationalist? Because I know that there are some micronations that are like, we're the micronation of Cascadia, and there are others that are just like supporting it for environmental reasons. Richard says you can't convince me that aliens and UFOs are not real because I saw a UFO about 25 years ago. Hey, congrats, Richard. That's very cool. Oh goodness. I would say I'm always skeptical because I've never had an alien encounter myself, and so I don't know that like, if aliens have like come to Earth or not. I'm still skeptical on that, but I do know that aliens like exist. You know what I mean? It's mathematically almost a certainty that aliens exist somewhere. Whether they've come to Earth or not, I think I'm still like up on the question of that. But I know that there are plenty of scientists who are like going more and more toward that. So it's becoming more and more of a popular opinion. I definitely understand it, especially with like the The Pentagon coming out with like the reports and everything discussing aliens like more and more openly, the military talking about aliens more and more openly, it seems reasonable. Washingtonia says no, he just supports it for the environment. Makes sense. I think that's what a lot of people support Cascadia for. But I was kind of hoping he would be a micronationalist. Did you talk to him about micronationalism? Maybe you could like influence Cascadian micronationalism. Big Name says, I believe I had a paranormal encounter and believe in ghosts. Oh, interesting. Congrats, Cascadia. I'm not sure that I really believe in ghosts, but there are plenty of stuff that I don't know. So you might teach me something one day. Big Name says, and that's just one of my many reasons I pray at night. Makes sense. A lot of people find comfort in like religion. Absolutely. Washingtonia says, yeah, I do. He said he never has time though. That makes sense. That's legitimate. But at the same time, still, if you were like promoting Washingtonia, that's awesome. That's like a great thing to do. Going out in public, talking to people, letting people know about micronationalism. Richard said, I saw what the aliens looked like also. That's wild. Richard, what was that like? You say you've seen aliens with your eyes, like you have peered into the soul of a being from another planet. What's that like? Ryan says ghost stories, dub, LOL. You know it, but he didn't say ghost stories. He said ghost stories, like a Canadian apologizing. My man said ghost stories. Sorry. Interesting. If there are any Canadians, they're immediately gonna leave the chat. I know it. Washingtonia says Roger from American Dad. What costume was he wearing? Got him. But if it's Roger from American Dad, you can't tell that he's Roger. He's always gonna look like Uncle Frank or whatever. Like he's gonna look like somebody completely different. We're getting hella off topic. I will say the reason for describing all of this, and the reason for going into politics, and the reason for going into the basics of creating a micronation, its foundation, its constitution, and founding principles, is because ultimately you're trying to get a good understanding of what you're doing. If you've ever heard of something called metacognition, it's the concept of thinking about thinking. A lot of sociologists and psychologists say that if you are able to, especially psychology, if you're able to think about your thinking, if you're able to understand why it is that you think a certain way, or if you were able to analyze your own thought processes, you're able to be more efficient, you're able to be more productive, you're able to have more control over your emotions, you're able to plan out your future more, you're able to reach objectives more quickly. There's so many benefits to thinking about thinking, just for your own personal life. And that extends to micronationalism too. A good foundation or founding document, a good constitution for a micronation is the equivalent of its yearly checkup at the doctor, its metacognition report, its self-assessment. It tells you what that micronation thinks about itself. And so if you read the constitution of a micronation and then you look at that micronation, if you can identify the things that are being said in the founding document in the group of people that you're looking at, that's a great sign that they are on the right track, that they are progressing, that they're doing things. The more detailed that guiding document is, that foundational document is, in connection with the basic structure of how they're set up and what they're trying to do, the easier it is for you to understand where you fit into all that. Whether you're wanting to be a citizen or a business owner or a foreign dignitary, whatever that is. And so that being the case, looking at it from an outside perspective, that can also tell you if a micronation is concerned. If you are the leader of a micronation and you're looking at other micronations, there may be plenty of things that give you either benefits or red flags when trying to decide on allies, for example. One of those things may be population, territory. We talked to a micronation today that was saying, hey, one of the biggest things that we look out for, which was talking about our territory stream, is whether or not a micronation owns the territory that they claim, whether they actually legally own it. And that's like a big, big thing. A lot of micronations claim that as a really important sticking point for them. So going back and thinking about that in another context, if a micronation's constitution does not fit well with who they are and who you see them to be, that may be a huge red flag, because it means either one, they don't fully understand what they are and what they're doing, or two, they do understand what they are and what they're doing, but they're not able to execute it well. There's some disconnect between what they want to be and what they're telling people they are versus what they're actively doing day to day. And so if you see those things diverging harder and harder, that may be a concern for you, because that micronation may become more and more unpredictable. If you are trying to develop a working relationship with that nation, they may all of a sudden pivot course because one day they realize that they're not going in the direction that's going to give them most benefit for what they want to do in theory described by their guiding document. Or if you base your understanding of them based on a guiding document, they may eventually change their guiding document to align with what they're actively doing because they're finding more success over here. Because that's just been the way that they've been developing. So micronations like that can be very unpredictable, and that's why for you micronationalists who happen to watch the Empire of Aeternia channel, I definitely recommend that you focus well on creating a constitution or a founding document that is appropriately set and fit for what it is that your nation is doing, as well as its size and scope. If I see a micronation that is doing things with, a founding document that has 200 pages and has its tax law described and has, all of its, different voting structures and different things down to really specific details. Its mail system described and stuff like that. Its space program described and all of this. I may be concerned if I then see that micronation and they have 3 or 4 people and they aren't really doing much of the things that they describe in their document. If you describe your tax law but you're not collecting taxes from citizens, then it may not be super beneficial for you to have. If you are talking about residency but you don't have any residents, that may be something concerning. Or not going to build residents for a long time, that may be concerning. In our case, for example, we don't have residents yet, but we're going to pretty quickly put a residency description in our guide of foundation principles because we're looking for it. We're starting to market right now to get residents. We have the ability to start hosting residents, and so it's important for us to do that. But if there's not a connection between what's described and what you're doing, then it becomes a bigger and bigger concern. First off, Washingtonia says, Torrance says, Roger from American Dad is an icon, 100%. Benjamin said, food, water, and shelter should be human rights. Agreed. Fake name says, Connor, I went to my grandma's basement. Every time I took a step, the lights by all the blades flickered and the dog started fear barking. Oh, goodness. Richard says, I saw them through my rifle scope. They looked human-like, so it didn't bother me too much. It was strange that their skin was pale white and their hair was white. Are you sure you didn't just see people? Like, how do you know that they were aliens? Oh, that's true. Fake Dave said, Richard, are you sure it wasn't just an albino? That's a great question. Richard says, I know what I saw. Makes sense. Agreed. Like, sometimes that happens. But I am curious how that's working out for you. And was there any indicators that was like, no, it's aliens for sure? Asteria says, hello, Emperor. Hello, Asteria, how are you? Thank you for joining our stream, and thank you for liking it. It helps a lot to spread it out to the rest of the micro and macro national league. Torrance says, Benjamin, a right to whose food and shelter? Everyone, I will say for the Empire of Aeternia, it should be a human right that societies, when they are created, should instill it to be a human right, a basic thing that the government is required to provide to any citizen of that nation, that they have food, water, and a place to live. Food, water, and shelter. Those are things every human needs, and so that should be something that is required by any modern government to provide for any citizen that they have. Citizens are valuable to all modern governments, especially macronational governments. Those governments have billions or trillions of dollars that they can use to easily provide those things to the citizens of their nation. There is so much advantage and opportunity for these to become basic law. They're just not. They're just not as of right now. And that's a fundamental disconnect between where we are trying to develop as far as a technological, race, as far as the human race, trying to become these advanced Star Trek-like civilizations, conquering the galaxy, exploring new territories, and creating materials and ways to connect to each other via the internet that are revolutionary, and yet we can't feed and clothe and house all of our people. We can't feed and water and house all of our people. That's really sad and unnecessary. There are ways to do this, and as micronations, we can prove that. Aeternia will prove that. Washingtonia says aliens with hair. Washingtonia says, I'm guessing this was the 2000s. Fake Name says, right to guns, quarter, and provisions. Are you trying to say water there, or are you saying quarter? Like, quarter is like a place to live. Why the guns? Casneria is meaning. But yeah, absolutely. Torrance asked, who's food, water, shelter? There is a basic amount of food, water, and shelter that the government already provides, especially in the United States. For example, for the military, the government does allocate specific resources for plenty of people anyway. There are already certain very, very limited welfare programs and social safety nets established in the United States that are very, very underfunded. And it could have plenty more funding to stabilize the entire U.S. population with those basic human rights, if only we were to allocate the funding there. It's completely reasonable and, in fact, eventually necessary to do that. Richard says, the craft I saw didn't make any noise and it was glowing a yellow-orange color. One of the aliens walked toward the back of the craft and I saw it from chest up. Oh, wow, that's crazy. Were you looking for them? Like, did you see it and that made you go after them? Or were you hunting and then just turned your scope and, like, ran into a thing? Fake Name says a place to live, and no, I'm not meaning. Why are guns a right? Why are guns a right? Casnaria. Torrance says, we must protect human women and secure a future for human children. The human race shall not perish. No aliens taking our women. Oh, goodness. All these cowboy hats. I appreciate it, Torrance. Fake Name says, if tyrannical, I'd rather be executed young than die peacefully young. Also self-defense. If I turn tyrannical, says Cusnaria, I'd rather be executed young than die peacefully young. What? What? Cosnaria was a bit old on the last one. Oh, okay. I was like, I'm still confused. Like, you're saying if you turn tyrannical, you'd rather be executed. But why would someone who is tyrannical ever want to be executed? Because the tyranny would be like, I'm trying to control you forever. If you're saying, like, I will willingly give myself up to the throes of my people or whatever, then, like, you're probably not tyrannical. If you were tyrannical, then you would be like, no, I'm not gonna do that actually, and so then you would cause a lot of undue suffering. Fake Name says also self-defense. That's fair, but for example, if all of a sudden there becomes a new technology that makes guns obsolete, like let's say I build like a new defensive technology that like is better than a gun, like hypothetically. Let's say lightsabers exist or whatever, and I'm like, I build lightsaber or whatever, and it can stop bullets, and it easily, routinely stops bullets, and it's just really good. Or like a super gun or whatever, that not only prevents you getting shot, but also can shoot better than a gun. Like it does more damage. It does so without like piercing through the target. It always hits your target. It always hits only your target. And it can, go through any armor. It can prevent any undue casualty. It can, it's the perfect weapon. Would you still say guns are a human right, or would you then change it to now super guns are a human right? Like, where does it become reason? Is it just the right to self-defense is your thing, or is it specifically having a firearm? Ryan says 14 words, also abbreviated 14 or 14/88, is a reference to two slogans originating with David E. Wayne. Who's that? Ryan, hit me up. Richard says, I was hunting and I saw it in the sky. Oh, that's wild. Fake Name says, Mint Oldham, the last one. Washingtonia says, if I were to be executed, just toss me into Mount Rainier. Goodness, just toss you in it. Just go, ah. That's wild. That's a really interesting burial concept, Washingtonia. Fake Name says, and one more thing, we plan to settle on the Yukon River where there's bears. Good luck. You gonna have bear citizens? Are you gonna elect a bear council? I respect you. Fake Name says, I'm happy to change guns to all weaponry. I don't know about that. The right to nukes? Everyone has the right to nukes? Like what? Where does that end? You know, that's what I'm trying to get to. Is like, once you describe any weaponry, you then and say it's a right to have an insert weapon, then you either allow for one, people to abuse that, or two, people to limit others in the right that you're trying to give them in the first place, because you are defining it so specifically. If all of a sudden, like for example, if back in like the 1300s or whatever, if someone said, the 12th century or whatever, someone said, every man has the right to arm himself with a blade or whatever, then it'd be like, with a sword, then it like makes sense for the time period. But if you brought that to modern day, and you said, nope, that's what our forefathers said, is that you have the right to defend yourself with a sword, then it doesn't give you the right to defend yourself with a gun later on. Or vice versa. If you say all weapons, then someone can say, I have the right to defend myself with mounted automatic AI-driven drones that can, carpet bomb areas for my self-defense. That's hella excessive. I have the right to, also all weaponry, biological weaponry, I have the right to unleash a, horrible anthrax, thing. I have the right to release, a horrible new disease, genetic disease on the population for self-defense. Like, what's the limit? Washingtonia says, I think you should put a human right to bear a weapon. To bear a weapon. But, again, that's so general. Ryan says, one of the 9 founding members of the defunct white separatist insurrection group, The Order. The slogans have served as a rallying cry for militant white nationalists internationally. Hella gross. Hella gross. White nationalists are hella gross. Torrance says, equality of rights, civil rights, freedom of speech, movement, religion, property, and privacy rights, fair and speedy trial, self-defense, right to arm, protection of minors, prohibition of slavery. Makes sense. What? Right to movement. What does that mean? Brian says, followed by the secondary slogan, because the beauty of the white Aryan woman must not perish of the earth. Hella gross. Hella gross. Raspberry says, Ryan, you are the Ryan that AP mentions, correct? Yes, Raz, that is them. Also, Raz, thank you for joining us again. It means a lot to have you as a part of the stream. Big Game says, recreational nukes. Hell yeah. Oh no, gross. And then Cosnaria clarified, any conventional handheld weapons. I think you should say that. The right to any conventional handheld weapons. Like, you're now narrowing. You're now narrowing, which is a good thing. It's important to narrow so that you can properly regulate. I think that's what a lot of people misstep with gun legislation in the United States. People are like, well, if all of a sudden you ban super intense assault rifles or whatever, automatic assault rifles, then all of a sudden you're going to start banning BB guns. And it's like, I don't know about all that. It seems that there is a line. There always has to be a line for what weaponry someone can and can't wield reasonably within a social setting. And there have to be places that it can be further regulated down to limit one's ability to equip weaponry. Washingtonia says a right to bear a weapon not destructive to mass cities. So, not destructive to mass cities. So I can have small bombs? Like, as long as it just blows up, like, one car or whatever, it's fine, right? Like one stick of dynamite is fine. Like, that's legal. That sounds wild. Torrance says, the Constitution of King Mania allows for citizens to possess small arms. Small arms is, like, I feel like a more reasonable thing as well. Law enforcement limited to the same weapons as citizens. Makes sense. Ryan says, compare the mentioned slogans to the cowboy hat thing Torrance Kingman said. Oh, gross. Oh, gosh. Okay, hold on. Cowboy hat thing Torrance Kingman said. Oh, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I get what you're saying. He's quoting stuff like that. Yeah. Washingtonia says, how do I say this? How do you say what? We're trying to figure it out. Sword, fake meme says swords, guns, rocket launcher, tanks, stuff like that. Rocket launchers. Casaneria, you're fine with average everyday citizens, like sitting down at a dinner table in a like restaurant with a rocket launcher. Like if someone pisses you off, they're like, my steak came back cold. Like, rocket launcher? School shootings with rocket launchers would be absolutely insane. And it's like he legally was able to bring it inside the school. He wasn't supposed to blow people up with it. Damn. Torres says, Ryan, why'd you ruin the joke? Because white supremacy. Ryan says, I don't care for it. It makes sense. I appreciate you informing me. Richard says, citizens should have the ability to own the same weapons as a standing military so that if the government becomes tyrannical, the people have a fighting chance. I don't know. I disagree. I think the citizens should have the ability and resources to create that weaponry, but not necessarily the ability to individually have that. You know what I mean? Like you could have a place where it's like weapons are here, and you could have that in every certain like population, right? Such that if the government did become tyrannical, all you have to do is breach this one area, and then you have the ability to arm yourself, which would just need to be overcome by a sheer amount of support. Eventually, if you had a number of people who supported your thing, they'd be able to get into the area and like get the stuff. But like one person probably isn't going to. 5 people probably aren't going to be able to. It has to be like an overwhelming majority. And so that being the case, it seems like it would be perfectly reasonable to do that, rather than to just be like, anybody can have any kind of insane military weapon that they want. Torrance says, all our, when and where is that next meeting, brother? Oh, gross. It's moon. Can we build him up to the camera? To the movies with camera? He's almost up. He's almost, hey, it's moon dust. He's confused in the world. It's moon dust. He smells like cigarette smoke. It's moon dust. You're looking outside with your dad. Okay. Tiffany's informing me I have stuff in my teeth, so gross. Did I do it? No? Oh, okay, cool. Okay, thank you. Right here. Okay. Cool, I got it. Sorry guys, I wanted to not be gross on camera. Casaneria says, I have plenty of time to work out the kink. Agreed, and that's why it's good to talk about constitutions and stuff. Raspberry says, my proposed constitution states that citizens may have arms, but all laws of their nation or nor state apply. It also requires background and mental checks to be shown. Makes sense. That's completely reasonable. I think that's smart. Ryan says, if I had to guess, the Klan meetings are in Coleman, Alabama, which still has a strong reputation for white supremacy. Very well may. Very well may. Oh my goodness. Ryan says, if that cowboy hat thing is the thing you're referring to, yeah. Fake name, I imagine that is what he was referring to. Fake name says small arms does for some reason include M1 Bradley chain guns. What? Is that just like an open definition, or is that like your definition, Casnaria? But also, thank you guys for 11 viewers, 8 likes. If you can like the stream, if you're just jumping in, it helps to spread it out to a larger audience. Especially after the stream's over, it helps us to get even more watch time hours because of that sweet algorithm. Torrent says, citizens of Kingmania may possess the same weapons as law enforcement. Property rights giving citizens jurisdiction over their property, and this includes the carry of weapons by those without a warrant. Without warrant. Oh, it makes sense, like without a license for it or something. Fake name says, so I chalk it up to vehicles. So you chalk up small arms to vehicles? Washingtonia says rocket launcher, LMAO. Fake name says I am. Raz says this is about an older comment. I have too seen paranormal stuff in my lifetime. Oh, it makes sense. Fake name says not the if you're mad though. I'm confused. What? Ryan says arms. What kind of puny arms are that? We need 16-inch 50 caliber Mark 7 guns. Oh gosh, Ryan. Ryan's memeing too hard. Torrance says living in Alabama feels like minstrel show to me. Oh goodness. Just as far as like, can you describe what you mean a little bit? Like I'm curious. There's definitely a ton of like racism still alive and well in Alabama. I'm curious to know your perspective, Torrance. Connor says nuclear weapons are legal, but there's also, plenty of racism still alive and well in northern states and everywhere. Connor says nuclear weapons are legal in Cotter Peninsula. Vindar says, Vindar95, hey, what's going on, Vindar? It's good to see you. Vindar says that's not a good tactic. I agree, Vindar. Raspberry says no, we need Kalashnikovs and AK, the superior weapons. No, gun regulations. We're trying to focus down and increasing regulation. We're not trying to go the other way. But you can do whatever you want in your own constitutions. Just make sure that it's something that's, if you're doing it within another country in a macronation under their jurisdiction, that it still follows the same rules and guidelines that they have. Torrance says, I've lost my marbles. Pick them up. Put them back in. Richard said, how are you going to play the game if you don't have marbles to play with? Richard says, message retracted. What were you going to say, Richard? Cusnaria says, M16 is great. Stop. Raspberry said, where'd they go? Y'all are going to eventually get this stream flagged. Torrance says, Richard, libertarians are the real liberals. What does that mean? Richard says, greetings to Tiffany. Ryan says, no, we need 46 centimeter, 45 type 94 naval gun. You're just getting into more intense guns, Ryan. Stop. Torrance says, who is Tiffany? This is Tiffany. Tiffany. Fake name says, for Casnarian citizenship, you must prove a regard for human life. We have a similar thing in Aeternian citizenship applications where we say, do you believe that all humans deserve to be treated equally, as far as race, religion, sexual orientation, stuff like that. Torrance says, why is Ryan ignoring me? That's a great question. Ryan's not. He responded and said, Tiffany is the person who walked in with the cat. Yes. Fake name says, about the Bradley chain gun, it's a U.S. military definition. Watch Mike Burnfire for clarification. Interesting. Oh, Tiff has a lightning bug. He flew away.
He went to the light.
He went to the lightning light. That's where he gains his lightning powers. Ryan says, Torrance, ignoring how. Connor says, Raspberry, what paranormal stuff have you seen? Torrance says, Ryan is the sleeper cell wild card. Now you are losing your marbles, Torrance. Richard says, just supply the people with Gauss guns. Everything will be fine. Oh, goodness. Richard's saying, just make it a really intense military weapon as well. It'll be good. Ryan says, I'm playing the wild card in Uno. In Uno, we don't have Uno, we have Moondust here. We have Moony B. Baby here. Moondust, what do you have to say to the people of Aeternia and the micronational community? Speak about your words, Moondust. Teach us the facts of life. Connor says nuclear weapons are no longer legal in Connor Venezuela. That's probably smart. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. Raz says, oh, they're cuddling. They're cuddling. Raz says, once I vividly remember in an old house in Washington State, one night I woke up
Making
for no
muffins.
reason. He's doing muffins. Muffins. Standing in the hallway just beyond my open door, it was a glowing figure. Oh gosh. And then he does ... like it's continuing. Big Meme says, anyway, free speech is also a customary right. That's smart and important to write down in your foundational document. Big Meme says, joke, I'm making a language because I can barely speak English. I appreciate the joke. Also, I like that you spelled all the stuff weird. Richard says, Gauss guns are handheld railguns that aren't very accurate. Makes sense. They're also, big guns that are attached to like military ships, aren't they? Big Meme says, and it's my native language. Raspberry says, stupid YouTube character count. Anyway, it'll eventually reach toward the roof and disappeared. It was a man with a long beard. Oh goodness, but it was like a glowing long beard? Raspberry said, you con lang too? Big Name says, the bad spelling is unfortunately not a joke. Oh, I'm sorry, Costello. I believe in you. You got this. You can create a new language, and it'll help you to improve your English, I bet, as well, because you'll have to learn about structure and organizational stuff. I think you got it. Plus, once you learn one language, a new language, even if it's your own made-up language, it's easier to learn other languages. Ryan says, conlang, lol. Yep. Richard says, AP, sometimes I question your intelligence. Hit me up. That's perfectly reasonable. Why do you question it? I question my own intelligence, but it's a thing that constantly happens. I'm constantly learning and developing. It's life. But I'm proud of my... Thank you. Just helping me. But I am proud of my accomplishments thus far. I think, especially when I was younger, I got similar things where people would be critical of me and my abilities. And the more that I learned, the more that I educated myself, the more that I proved that I could do things and that I could develop myself intellectually and grow. I started to doubt that less and less. So I'm curious as to what your questions about my intelligence are. Raspberry says, I'm making a language. Yeah, I see it. I see it. Fake Name says, why? That's why I have a amateur language and my Imperial Guard spell check me. Amateur linguist and my Imperial Guard spell check me. That's important though, I'm glad. Ryan says, called out. How so, Ryan? Raz says, that's why I'm an amateur Imperial linguist and my Imperial Guardian spell check me. Oh goodness. Vindar said, but what about the droid attack on the Wookiees? That's a great question, Vindar. What about it? Raz says, is that what you were trying to say? Richard said, research the difference between Gauss guns and military railguns. That's interesting. So I guess I will have to research that more. I know Gauss deals with magnetic fields. Railguns deal with the electric propulsion based on, it's a magnetic force as well, but it's coming from an overwhelming flow of current directly over a closed circuit that happens between 2 points of contact for the circuit. So incredibly high voltage between these 2 points. A projectile closes that circuit, creates a high flow of current. The magnetic field pushes it that way. Right-hand rule, so it forces it through. Gauss guns, I imagine, are similar to coil guns, which actually use the effect of a charge moving through a coil to generate a magnetic field, acceleration of charges to generate a magnetic field as defined by Gauss's law. So I think those are also used by the military, aren't they? I could be incorrect. I could be inaccurate in what I'm defining as military use, but I thought I knew. Like I did. Fake Name says, no, he will not be trained. I appreciate it, Casnaria. Raspberry says, yes, the attack on the Wookiees, foreseen it was. Ryan says, I can hear the enthusiasm drain out of AP's voice after having his intelligence question. I respect it, Ryan.
Hey, if you think that you know everything, maybe it's not. Because there's always
Hey, Tiffany hit me up with a nice thing. You want to hit up the thing? Tiffany's just here, and now she's just standing to the side. Tiffany said a thing, and I thought it was profound, but now she's not wanting to say the thing. No, but you gotta say it to the people. I believe in you, Tiff. Tiff said a thing, and I thought it was cool. What did you think, Tiff? Educate us.
So if you think that you know everything, then you might as well be dumb, because there's always something to do later.
Agreed.
Especially when in your field.
Absolutely.
I know people are so weird, huh?
I do. That's one of the things that I really appreciate about micronationalism, though. There's so many facets of it that teach you different things that you would have had no interest potentially in learning otherwise. Just like as an educational topic, I wouldn't have bought books on a lot of the things that I've just learned and developed understanding of through micronationalism. And I get taught new stuff every day, so I don't know. Vinder says science. Raz says Order 66 foreseen. It was not dark clouds of vision. It does. Vindar said good soldiers follow orders. Fake Name says I hope Casnaria that invents the first. I hope it is Casnaria that invents the first viable plasma guns. Okay, let me hit you with the first problem with plasma guns that you may be able to solve. But it's a really hard one, and I think it's not something that I say solve. It's not even a thing that you can really solve. It's like a fundamental law of physics thing that you would have to incorporate into your design. So if you create a plasma, right? A plasma is a hot soup of energetic particles, right? So hot that their electrons rip off of their atoms. So that being the case, it's based on this kinetic energy. You have so much energy concentrated in one space that the charges are too close to each other that they repel electrons off of their atoms. There's a lot of force there, which creates this energy, so much so that they are radiating light, and that's what makes plasmas glow. That all being the case, if you have a plasma and it moves through a medium, like for example the open air, what is it doing? It's transferring that energy to the open air. So very quickly, your plasma is going to go away, like instantly. If you have something that is not generated constantly from a source, if you're trying to generate a plasma without an insane amount of energy being constantly supplied to it to keep it there in an environment that itself is not a plasma of some kind, you are immediately going to have that plasma collapse on itself and dissipate. So how do you keep a plasma sustained without a source of energy to maintain it? Or can you design a source of energy that can allow you to, for example, shoot some plasma at something and allow that plasma to have a sustained source of energy to fuel its state, holding that state. Plasma is a state of matter and is the most energetic. For example, try a counterpoint. If you were to take a piece of ice and you were to drop it in a boiling hot pot of water, that ice will not maintain itself for very long unless somehow you could stick something in the boiling pot of water that would freeze that would provide a super cold source for the ice to stay ice with. But even still, that yeah, but if you throw that in a boiling pot of water, the dry ice is going to stay dissipate really quick. What I'm saying is you have to provide a source of cold for the ice to stay ice in that state, and it's going to eventually. It would. Tiff said dry ice would last longer, and I agree with that. There are some plasma states that may be able to stay semi-stable for longer as well in an environment, but you're still going to be losing all that kinetic energy, and it's going to be transferring to your environment. So even if you have a way to maintain your plasma and supply it some energy consistently, it's going to be heating up your environment very rapidly. So that's another thing that you have to deal with. Richard said, bingo. Fake name says AP flexing is physics logic. Well, I got called out, so now I gotta do it. Now I gotta hit him back. Raz says, better soldiers know when not to follow orders. Makes sense. Warning spontaneously starts talking about physics. She warned y'all. She won't wait come see so you can warn them. She had it. If you didn't think this stream would become a physics stream, she has the shirt. This is a warning. They spontaneously start talking about physics. I'm also wearing the shirt now. We're both wearing the shirt. So at any point, it could become a physics stream. At any moment. I didn't know Tiff liked to whip and ring it. This is what I'm teasing Tiff and she. I appreciate it. Connor said I'm gonna go to bed. I appreciate you being here, Connor. Thank you for supporting us. And if you want to join another stream tomorrow, we're gonna have another stream tomorrow because we're trying to hit those watch time hours. Raz says, better soldiers know when not to follow orders. I respect that. Picnic says, good soldiers follow orders, good soldiers. Oh, I gotta say it a million times. Connor said, bye. See you, Connor. Raspberry said, good night. Everybody said, good night, Connor. Ryan says, better soldiers often get executed for not following bad orders. That's true, too. Richard said, Gauss guns are not military yet, but they have lower velocity and are not as accurate as the big rail guns. That's interesting.
It's not just soldiers. It's like anyone in the field. I'm like recognizing when not to like do what you're told because it's dangerous. Like physicists, engineers, any type of science, all the time you come across that. That's why you have your ethics class. And be like, I know my ethics and I ain't gonna do that. I'll lose my job, I don't care. But I'm not gonna be the one to sign off on that crap and then kill people and then you fire me anyway because then you're gonna blame me. Because I was the one who signed off on it. Yep. I'm just going to keep my hands out of it, and apparently I'm going to lose my job either way, so, bye.
Yep, that is true. I actually worked with a guy. I used to work at I won't name the specific one, but I used to work at a grocery store, and I had a coworker who was a nuclear engineer before he started working there, and he ended up getting kicked out of his field.
And lost his license.
And lost his engineering license because he was a informant for the government. He worked at a nuclear power plant. And he was told he was noticing that they weren't following regulations appropriately, and that it was leading to dangerous conditions in the power plant. And so, going against his boss's orders, he went out of his way to tell the government, like, hey, this plant is like operating inappropriately. Eventually somebody's gonna get hurt. Like, this is unsafe working conditions. And he like was a whistleblower for this huge nuclear facility and got the facility shut down. He was like on the face of like Time magazine in like the 90s. It was really crazy. And then all of a sudden, he got like kicked out. He got like thrown out of his field. He worked at like a supermarket, like with me when I was a teenager. It was really wild. I didn't believe his story at first. I was like, no way. And then he was like, Google my name, like this and this, nuclear power plant. And sure enough, his face was on Time magazine when he was like 40 years old. He was like in his 60s when I met him. It was wild. It was a really crazy thing. I had never seen like a direct example of like, first off, somebody doing something that, in my opinion, is pretty brave to do, because he probably knew he was going to like lose his job and had a lot of flack for it. But also, like, to stand up for people and to like know what you're doing, you're doing the right thing. It's really cool. It's really sad to see that he got punished for that. Vindar said the Galactic Empire did nothing wrong. Got him. Hey, UASR joined in. Hey, UASR, how are you? It's good to see you. Thank you for joining and thank you for liking the stream. It helps us to reach it out to a larger audience.
You can see him.
You can see Mooney? Mooney boy in the background. Look at him chilling. Oh, wait. Look at him chilling. Tickle, 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 tickle. Tickle, tickle, tickle. Hey, Mooney. Tickle, 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 tickle. Also, 10 viewers, 10 likes. Thank you, guys. Fake Name says, Vindar, I unironically agree. Got him. I do think it's interesting because the Galactic Empire was like abusive to the like outer rim colonies and stuff, but at the same time was like a really interesting dynamic as opposed to the Galactic Republic. The Galactic Republic was like, from a lot of contexts, I think people say like it was a mess. Like there was like stuff happening all over. There was still a lot of like illegal smuggling and stuff. It happened in the Galactic Empire as well, but the Galactic Empire tried to bring all these planets like together. The regulations for the Republic was like all over the place. Again, I want to do one day a stream just about like Star Wars politics and about how it can influence micronational development. Raz says, hi UASR. Fake Name says, I could theoretically use magnetism to send energy to the plasma. Yeah, but what's your gun made out of? Like if your gun's made out of metal, the magnetic fields that your gun generates, first off, magnetic fields dissipate by the inverse square. So at 1 over the square of the radius or the distance from the source, the intensity of the magnetism drops off. So if you are, it'd be meters. If you were 5 meters away from your, which like a person's like what, 2 meters tall. If you're 2 meters away from a source of insert whatever strength magnetic field you want, then you have to divide that by 2 squared meters, or 5 square. It's divided by 4 times the strength. You know what I mean? It's 1/4 of the strength. If you're at 10 meters away, it's going to be 1/100th of the strength of the source. It drops off incredibly fast. So you'd have to have an incredibly strong magnetic field, and if you're dealing with just to provide that energy, and if you're doing that, you're going to run into a lot of other problems anytime you come anywhere near any metals, because they're going to accelerate straight toward you, which will be really dangerous as well. The thing that you would probably want to do instead, and I'm not trying to give anybody ideas on how to build weaponry, but you probably want to do something like concentrated either laser energy, which can have a high intensity, and lasers are designed for high intensity, but then there's complications with that as well. You can also do microwave energy, for example. Microwaves can be really directional, but are really bad because just like lasers and how intense they are, they burn things. So, if you're not careful and you direct microwave energy, because you can't see microwaves, they can radiate back at you and like start burning your body before you realize it. It could cause a lot of dangerous effects. That's why you shouldn't pull magnetrons out of microwaves and just turn them on, because they shoot microwaves everywhere. Not everywhere, in a directed beam that can then reflect directly back at you and be dangerous. Raz says, I was messing around about the soldiers joke. Ryan says the Galactic Empire was a brutal regime. Agreed. But they were ordered. Raspberry says, I could use a Tesla coil. Tesla coils generate, high potentials, high voltage, but directing that toward a particular spot is really difficult. That's the thing that's an issue with plasmas. They want to stay near the source that they come from. How do you launch a plasma away from its source? If you do, it immediately dissipates. Like, I tell you what, if you have a Tesla coil, turn your Tesla coil on, and you'll see it create an arc of plasma, like a lightning bolt. If you sustain that, that arc will stay there. The second that you turn it off, see how long that plasma lasts. It's almost instant. It's technically not instant. If you were to have a super duper slow-mo camera, you would see that what they call a streamer, a line of plasma, energetic particles connecting from one side of a potential to the other, dissipate. You would see it like go away and radiate away. But it happens in a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a second. It's really, really quick. So figuring out a way to sustain that away from its source and to maintain it with some source that is going to be far away and direct it at an object is going to be very, very difficult. There are so many physical and engineering issues that run into doing that. So that's why governments aren't like actively researching plasma weapons, because it's something that leaves you with a mountain of questions and not too many good ways to solve the problems. Again, some of them just being like basic fundamentals of physics problems. Vindar says, no worries, Raz. As a soldier of 5 years, I got the joke. Hey, I appreciate it. UAR says, UASR says, our nation has been working on potassium nitrate rockets. Good luck. You doing those stump remover rockets. I had some friends who were aerospace engineers at the university that I went to for my bachelor's, and they shot off some potassium nitrate rockets. Really fun, very dangerous. Be very careful doing that. You can straight up blow yourself up and kill yourself, or lose a hand. Like, be very careful. As well, make sure that you are not around anything that would be someone else's property or something that you could catch on fire. Those things, once you light them, you cannot stop them. It's a chemical reaction. So they'll fire off into the air, and if, let's say, for some reason your mixture is a little bit off, and it doesn't burn away completely. So it starts off burning, and then all of a sudden it stops burning for some reason, but there's still heat in the chamber. It can fall on something, and then ignite and burn the rest of it and create a bomb. You can like make a missile that accidentally hits, say, someone's house, or an animal, or a car, or a person. On the other hand, they can also be nearly impossible to direct. So if you shoot them upward, they may not stay upward, depending on, again, how your fuel mixture is created. It could start burning just in a asymmetric way, such that it all of a sudden turns your rocket to the side, or if the wind blows it, it can turn it to the side, and then all of a sudden, burning and burning until all the fuel is gone. So you have a bush that's just sitting in a tree, lighting it on fire, and it won't stop combusting. So it can be really difficult. Just a kid. Also, I saw the lightning bug a minute ago. There's a beetle. If you guys like the Beatles, there's an actual beetle right there. It's not like Paul and Ringo and, oh gosh, John Lennon. It's just a straight up bug on the ground. Vindar says, only brutal when fighting galactic terrorists. Oh goodness, I don't know about that. Ryan says, it looks like Raspberry says, it looks like Ryan fell for the rebel scum's propaganda. Got him. Fake News says, the Galactic Empire was ready for the Yusan Vong. Got him. Raz says, thanks for your service, no matter who it is, thanks. Fake News says, the New Republic was not. Vindar says, my pleasure. Thanks, man. Yeah, absolutely. Ryan says, I didn't fall for the propaganda. I was too busy making it. Got him. Raz says, what exactly is physics? Can AP explain? Physics is the study of nature. So, in a basic sense, we as people have existed on the planet for a very long time. In our current state, thousands and thousands of years. Maybe, I don't even know if it's millions, thousands and thousands of years. As Homo sapiens. So as we started to live and develop, we started to understand basic things about the world. Like, for example, fire. Everybody talks about fire as like, humanity's greatest discovery or whatever, initial discovery. When we learn things about nature, we are observing nature. We're constantly living in the world all the time. And we're trying to use the things that we learn to predict stuff. That's what makes us the apex predators on the earth, is the fact that unlike other animals. For example, Moondust. Moondust is a cat, and he's a super cute cat, and he's awesome. Moondust can understand some predictions about the world. For example, he can know how to hunt his prey. He can predict if they're doing specific movements where they're going to be in another second or two. So that way he can launch himself to catch them. Physics is the concept that we do that same prediction-based thing with everything. We say, okay, if I see that, for example, if I see, for example, lightning strikes a tree and that causes fire, I know that if lightning strikes another tree, it'll probably cause fire again. Better example, if I see somebody accidentally kick two rocks, and those two rocks create a spark, and that just happens to be near some grass, and that starts a fire, I know, hey, there's something about what they did, something about those rocks that makes fire. So maybe if I hit these rocks together enough, it'll start a fire. And then you start to learn about what the things that are necessary to make a fire are. You go, okay, I hit the rocks, but that didn't make a fire. There was something, what was it? It was by grass. Maybe if I get some of this grass, okay, now it started a fire. And so you learn to make predictions about why the world works the way that it does. That's what physics is. Physics is understanding nature from the point of view of an observer. We have to start with a lot of assumptions on those things. So we have gotten good enough to make complex equations. And that's because as physics was being developed, that developed physics and understanding of, science. Newton's law. Newton's law tell you what happens. Newton's law tell you what happens when you're not draft. Newton's law, in a more primitive sense, describes one of those is the gravitational force. That's something that Newton was trying to understand, and be able to create accurate mathematical descriptions of. The thing is that is moving constantly. And a good example. Why is it that if I have a bowling ball that just very lightly touches you, that doesn't hurt me, but I have a bullet that's very, very small, that's a lot less massive, that goes very fast, and it can kill you? Why is that? What is the fundamental reason that makes sense? The bowling ball is more stuff. Why is it that speed matters? And what he found out was it's not speed that matters at all. It's acceleration and deceleration. It's the fact that, for example, if you jump off a building, don't do that. But if you jump off a building and you hit the ground stops you really fast. And so if you jump off a building and you hit the ground, you'll die, or you'll break your legs, or whatever. If you jump off a building, depending on how you land. If you jump off a building and you fall into a net, that net can die because it will very slowly carry you to the ground. It will decelerate you a lot slower than you would be decelerated if you just smacked into the ground. So that's what creates a force. The physics is about understanding nature and why it is, and being able to describe it so that you can then use those descriptions to make predictions. If you can understand physics, you can understand anything about the world. It is understanding the fundamental laws of nature and why nature does what it does. It's really hard. It's really fun. Raz says, how cool would a particle collider gun be? Probably not very cool. For example, the 99.9999% the speed of light, someone stuck their head in it, right? It would sound like if something's going that fast, for example, like the bullet analogy that we talked about, really, really tiny, fractions of a proton, they may be accelerating individual protons, so, or proton beams, like the Large Hadron Collider does. So very, very small masses that can pass through your body really easily. Now, you'll get some radiation, you may develop cancer from it, but it's not going to kill you. a particle accelerator weapon is only as powerful as the masses and the acceleration potential that it has. So if you say, well, I want to make something that accelerates particles to the speed of light, then you're going to need a lot of energy just to get up to that speed of light. So your gun becomes massive to accelerate like individual protons. But if you're saying, I want to accelerate a big mass, like a bullet, really fast, then you might as well just make a regular gun that does that through chemical combustion, or develop a railgun that does that with electromagnetism. But if you do it with a railgun, you also need a big power supply as well. So there's always going to be, there's a limited amount of energy you can have. Yeah, Tiff says roller coaster size railgun. Absolutely. There's always going to be a trade-off between the amount of mass that you have versus the amount of acceleration that you have. Your energy is going to be taken up by the amount of force that you want to deliver. There are equations that relate force and mass. Force is mass times acceleration, so that's how your mass relates to your acceleration relates to your force, and your force is given by energy. So you have a certain amount of energy that you're able to spend to provide a force, and so that being the case, your force is only going to be able to be continually applied so long as you can continue to provide energy to generate it. So very quickly, you're going to figure out that that trade-off is going to be something that limits the size that you can develop because of how much energy you can possibly store. Raz says, no idea what it would do, but can you imagine? Probably not very much. New England says, good afternoon, AP, Tiffany, and how are you? We're good. We're doing good. Thank you for hanging out. Ryan says, my sister is currently watching a Star Trek episode titled Ethics, which is about ethics. Tiff, what's your take on Star Trek ethics? Tiff says she doesn't know if she remembers that. Ryan, what's your take on Star Trek ethics? Also, say hi to your sister. Nick says, that's what you're supposed to do. Unfortunately, the government screws people. I would know. Oh, I'm sorry. UASR says, one of the members of the USAR wants to create a particle accelerator. Congratulations. Torres says, whistleblowing is legal in Canada. Congratulations. Whistleblowing is legal in the United States, but you can still get fired for it. And that's what happened to my coworker. Raz says, who would ban whistleblowing? I don't think anyone would. UASR says, don't know what's involved, but I think it'd be cool. Richard says, sometimes doing the right thing can be risky, but it's better to do the right thing and face the consequences later. UASR says, third world nations probably. Raz says, well, a particle accelerator will make a boom. UASR says, wouldn't that be a hadron collider? Yep. Big Name says, damn, I was just saying, I hope it's Cusnaria. It doesn't even have to be me. Ryan says, the USA's government says the whistleblowing protections don't apply to national security intelligence stuff. Makes sense.
Well, I think that's because they're trying to find a loophole and be like, you broke your security clearance of knowing what was happening within the company, and you went and told the public, which is a big no-no, because that's why it was a security clearance, like, required job.
Yeah, even
and
if it's
they're like,
unethical.
for that reason, we can't fire you, and revoke your, like, stuff. And it's like, that's unfair that you're trying to sneakily just go around and just make money, knowing that you could explode your whole building and destroy the whole town and contaminate everything in that area with radiation. This should be an accepted case.
100%.
You don't.
It's dangerous. And it's messed up. Ryan says the USA government says which stuff doesn't protect that. Raz says, I don't know, it doesn't matter as long as it explodes. Average Florida man. Ryan says revealing the USA's government illegal spying operations. Yeah, with like Edward Snowden and stuff. Raz says, doesn't whistleblowing mean something I don't know? Does whistleblowing mean something I don't know? It means like revealing information. Ryan says spying. Ryan says a whistleblower is a person who exposes any kind of information or activity that's deemed illegal, unethical, and not correct within an organization. UASR says, in Russia you shouldn't whistle in a house, it's considered bad luck. Interesting. Ryan said, got him. But we're in a workshop, so it doesn't matter. Ryan says, in 2009, the Government Accountability Office published a report stating that employees who reported illegal activities did not receive enough protection from retaliation by their employers. Makes sense based on data from the Occupational Safety by OSHA. Only 21% of the 1,800. Don't get my earring; it'll actually hurt me.
Is that magnetic?
It's not magnetic. Good.
No!
Good. That'd be scary. UASR says, in the far future, the USAR plans to build a fusion reactor. Hey, congrats. You can build a Farnsworth fuser probably today. Raz says, why can't we call them truth finders? Great question. Raz says, fusion reactor. Yeah, the problem with fusion reactors isn't that you can't build them. It's about making them produce more energy than they consume. Big Name says, don't shoot 50 pounds of tannerite unless you're ready for the boom. Makes sense. Fake Name says fusion reactor, that's big. Ryan says the GAO, more energy than they need to build up to the energies required for the reaction. Ryan says the GAO has found that the key issue is lack of resources for investigating. Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm glad they didn't make my thing able to connect to magnets. Fake Name says, and right now not cost effective. UASR says, yes, it makes hydrogen for fusion of a hydrogen gas. I said in the far.
See, those should be magnetic. Because then whenever you lose them again in the ground, we can just take these and go, and then find them.
You're right. Raz says, here comes the sun. I'll hope it's stable enough to be able to use it. UASR says quite a few people have done it, just want to be the first micronation to do it. Absolutely. Fake Name says, I wonder if we'll ever see the rise of new human species, kind of like Homo Neanderthal. Maybe so. UASR says that would be interesting. Ryan says, what makes us apex predators is our long-standing collaboration with dogs, which let our combo be apex predators. Opinions, potentially correctly informed opinions, but I don't know. Vindar says, Google's AI almost became self-aware and we now have the technology to grow in synthetic human skin, so we might see something human-like. Agreed. Big Name says, all art are tool-based intelligence. Raz says, so how do you explain it? Physics is the ability to take something we learn and use it to know what it will likely happen again. It's specifically based around nature. Like mathematics, for example, philosophy is the subject of studying
So like
logic and reasoning.
Well, hold on. Like engineering is understanding like the way the mechanisms work, kind of for like mechanical side. Civil would be for like building side. Then you have like the electricity, how we get our lights to go, and then like physics is like everything.
Physics is the study of nature.
Yeah, but like,
That's the like basic concept, basic concrete definition. Physics is the study of nature.
it's used all the time in everything.
Yes, it's the study of everything in the natural world.
Like how it works, why
Yes.
it works.
Yes. But it specifically has to be something natural. So, for example, mathematicians study logical development, which is really important in physics. But mathematicians can create equations that don't necessarily work in the real world. They are things that work on paper. They are theoretically possible, but may not be practically possible. And so physicists, theoretical physicists, for example, sometimes come up with things that should work in nature, but may or may not. Physics in general is about applying our study of logic to the natural world to understand the way that nature works. Ryan says there's only one Homo species left, so a new one would have to evolve from sapiens. Like us attaching to robots, like us becoming connected to synthetic organisms. Fake Name says, as well as dogs. Brad says, what makes us apex is dumb what? Disagree. UASR says, dogs became domesticated when they ate food scraps of us humans and guns. Oh, goodness. Richard says, buffer.
And they ate guns?
Right, dogs ate guns, history
They
fact.
ate the scrap of human food and guns.
Human guns. They ate the scraps of human guns. Fake Name
I'm
said,
sure
all
they
art,
died.
not if we evolved from monkey theory is true.
No, not really. Because they already proven that, like, the mind of a monkey
monkeys, it's like simple. But even though the build may be similar, the brain works different.
Yeah, but I think so evolution is a thing. It's real. Um, uh, they're trying to argue that you could have evolution spring up to make like a similar human species from apes right now. Yeah, if you waited millions of years on like an unchanging planet or a very slow changing planet, we're probably going to change the planet a lot more quickly than we would see like any significant evolutionary change come naturally.
With all the trees going away. And it, like in some like bigger city areas, they've like taken away so many of their trees that it's now becoming a like requirement that like pieces of land aren't allowed to be sold. They're solely to plant trees, and if you own a piece of land, you have to have so many trees on said land because they've just like destroyed most of their forests.
Yeah, that's fun. I think they should be doing more of that. Raz says monkey theory is false. What are you talking about, monkey theory? It's just the truth. Ryan says humans are a species of ape. Agreed, Ryan. Richard says, Raz, I agree. Vindar says apes strong together. Yep, that's a Planet of the Apes quote. Big Name says, Ryan, I'm aware. Raz says ape together strong. Fire makes stronger. Some translated caveman talk. Well, Vindar was quoting Planet of the Apes. Fake says, well, it's 11:30. I'm headed to sleep. Have a good night. Fake name. Everybody said good night. Fake name. Ryan says ground stops only if it's stronger. Just be stronger than the ground and break the planet. That's true. You could do that if you're made of, incredibly strong carbon, I guess. Vindar says like incredibly dense carbon chains. Vindar says it's not the fall that gets you, it's the sudden stop at the end. Exactly. Richard says, LOL. Everybody was saying goodnight to fake name. Chess pieces. Very good. Which one's your favorite?
I don't know what they were made out of, like stuff.
Makes sense. Ooh, they are. They're really heavy. Ryan says your organ's suddenly stopping. Oh no. Raz says it's not the fall. It ain't the stop. It's the splat. Got him. Raspberry says actually it's gravity, but the gravity doesn't kill you. Ryan says there's decently high resolution video of the footage from across the street on 9/11 where you can see the jumping people go splat. Hella sad. Raspberry said stupid Newton. Before an apple gave him a concussion, we were able to fly. After him, we had to invent planes. Got him. Raz says all art, it's better than your literal body boiling and your eyes vaporizing. Agreed. Raz says that's what happens when you catch fire in a nutshell. Basically why the damn flamethrowers. Nopalia says hello. Hey Nopalia.
It made me sad that you got to see them splat. But it sure makes you feel a little bit better than they died before they hit the ground.
Got him.
When their body went through shock.
Got him.
It just happened. That and you lose like oxygen so they couldn't breathe anyway, so even if shock didn't kill them first, suffocation would have.
Agreed.
So yeah, they would be dead before they even hit the ground. It's just a thing that our brains freak out. Unless you're like that poor lady who tried to jump off the building, but it wasn't super high, and so she just ended up laying on the ground. And it was like, oh man, sad.
That is sad.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she was like being like a vegetable afterwards. She burnt like every bone in her body.
Richard says, so in other words, trial and error works better than mathematics? No, not at all. Doesn't work better than mathematics. Mathematics is a concrete set of logic. UASR said, I mean, if it works, then it works. Raspberry says, no, we are not monkeys. Ryan says, yeah, AP, we're not monkeys, we are apes. Agreed. Raz says, we actually came from some single-celled organism millions of years ago. Agreed. Tiff said, the ocean. That's true. UASR says, I don't like humans, sure you act like them sometimes. I don't know, humans sure you act like them sometimes. Do humans directly evolve from apes? Agreed. Ryan says, human directly evolved from an ape to us, an ape? Agreed. Raz says, we didn't directly evolve from apes because you need to specify. Yeah, we are apes actively. We evolved from a different form of ape than we are currently.
That doesn't exist.
Yeah, but they want to extinct it. They want all extinct it.
All the clothes are gone.
What is that? Tiffany just like spitting. Keeps doing it. Ryan says, we did directly evolve from apes into different apes. Agreed. Raz says, as no one can, it's still up for discussion. As no one can, it's still up for discussion. What do you mean? It's still up for discussion. What is? She's getting my neck. I don't approve of this neck yet. USR says humans are still an ape, and I agree with that. I agree with USR and also Ryan. Yeah. I appreciate you guys being here. Richard says we're all hairless apes pretending to be an evolved species. Accurate. Ryan says simians are the group containing apes and monkeys. Makes sense. Vindar says we evolved from Wookiees. Debate settled. I think Vindar's honestly got us here.
Dining room?
Dining room, where are you going?
Inside?
What you up to? Are we gonna hang out later? Are we gonna watch Star Wars together, Moondos? What are we gonna watch together, Moondos? Can you have Moondos look directly into the camera and say, this is MTV and you've been punked?
This is NTV and you've been punked.
Got it. See you, Moondos.
Oh no, we're about to fall!
Look out! Raz says the beginning, see you, Tiff, see you, Moondos.
I gotta get settled.
Yeah.
He doesn't like that.
Raz says the beginning of human species is up for discussion. Not scientifically, like we just found the like evidence. We just found the fossil record and like did carbon dating on it and stuff and did genetic analysis on it and stuff. Like it's accurate. Ryan says, but what about the droid attack on the Wookiees? Got him. Vindar says Skynet propaganda. Also got him. Richard said a strong graphite would be graphene. I said strong carbon, but yeah, graphene is a very, very strong carbon, densely packed carbon structure, carbon chain. However, graphene is usually a one atom thick, layer of carbon structure. It's like a carbon nanostructure. Of course, you can build it up higher than that, but it's based on this single atom level structural build. However, diamond also would just be really effective. You could be made of diamond, I guess, and if you shot through the earth, you'd still probably get stopped because there'd be other diamonds and stuff that would probably hit you. But and once you got to the core, you'd probably vaporize. It's tough, man. I don't know. Even if you're made of graphene, you still may get destroyed in the Earth's core. Like, the Earth's core is just pretty intense, man. Ryan says, when people say no homo, I'm like, oh no, that's all of us. You got them. They're not human. They're admitting to you that they're an alien. They're coming out as an alien. Ryan says, anatomically modern humans emerged around 300,000 years ago in Africa, evolving from Homo heidelbergensis or a similar species and migrating out of Africa, gradually replacing local populations of archaic human. Makes sense. Agreed. UASR says, what do you guys think about new RBMK reactors? What are RBMK reactors? UASR, hit us up. Also, in about 5 minutes, I think I'm going to dip because we should have 11 watch time hours now, and I appreciate you guys hanging out for the conversation. If you want to have another conversation about micronations, we should hang out tomorrow. I'm probably going to do another stream tomorrow at like I said earlier, sometime between 10 a.m. and like 1 to 2 p.m. I think I'm going to stick with that timeline. I think that's when a lot of people are online. Hopefully I can get up early. If I can get up around 8 or 9, I'll try and set up a stream for 10 or 11. So plan for like 10 or 11 Central Daylight Time. Richard says, I think medieval suit of armor made of 1/4 inch thick graphene would be awesome. Agreed. That would be super thin, so it'd probably be pretty mobile. That sounds cool. Raspberry says, I always look forward to the vids. Thank you, Raspberry. I appreciate it. I always look forward to hanging out with you guys. Even on some nights like tonight, you know, we had a smaller audience than we normally do have, but I still feel like I learned a lot. Like, you guys teach me stuff every day. I feel like getting to talk to you guys helps me to understand more about Aeternia and what I want to do and how I want to develop it, as well as trying to connect with our citizens in Aeternia. One of the hardest things about running a micronation, of course, is that a lot of the time the citizens that you're connecting to may not be right in your backyard. They may not be people you can see every day. And so in developing that and growing what Aeternia is for us, we're having to do this long distance many times. So the more that we have been able to grow and develop on YouTube, the more that we've been able to easily connect with our citizens and help to bring them additional benefits. So you guys are helping us to make a better Aeternia every day. Raspberry says, wouldn't it be weak? No, it really wouldn't be. Like 1/4 inch thick graphene would be pretty strong. You might still feel some of the hits from a sword just because of the force, but I don't know. I've yet to look into like shear force stuff for graphene to figure out specifically how 1/4 inch thick graphene would like handle against like a huge blade, like a two-handed axe or something. UASR says it's a reactor that uses graphite to speed up the heat, but it didn't work out in Ukraine, but they seem to be stable now. Oh, that's cool. I guess I'll have to look into it. Raspberry said, make a donut shop. Ooh, that sounds cool. Raspberry, you just biased because you want some raspberry-filled donuts? I see your end game here. Vindar says, oh wait, this was a citizen stream? My bad. No, not at all. It's not a citizen stream. This is a stream that anybody can join into. I was just saying that you guys being here help us to connect with our citizens, because the more that we grow the channel, the more we, one, can pull in more citizens, and secondly, the more we can continue to make Aeternia bigger and better for those citizens. So you guys are like helping us to connect with our citizens and reach out to them. Also to educate the community, also to bring in more citizens, also to make money, which helps us provide more benefits for those citizens. So all around, you guys are helping us to grow Aeternia. But, Vindar, if you did want to become a citizen of the Empire of Aeternia, all you would have to do is fill out our citizenship application. It's on our website, aeternianempire.wixsite.com/Imperial Market. We currently have a land purchased. Our territory of Vitae. It is in North Alabama. We are actively developing it. We have 2 videos out right now, one of which, including Ryan, who's been in this stream for a good bit of time, that we are actively putting out. We're putting out more videos on Vitae's development, but we're building homes for citizens. We're building what we call Aeternian dwellings, which are going to be underground structures that will be developed into housing for Aeternian citizens. That housing will be offered free of charge. So we're only going to pick a small handful of people to become residents in Vitae, but if you are interested in doing that and would like a free place to live, being provided that you can get a job and reside here comfortably, you're more than welcome to. aeternianempire@gmail.com/Imperial Market, or if you Google the Empire of Aeternia, should come up pretty quick. As well, if not, just being a citizen in and of itself has some perks over the internet, including a special role in our Discord server. So if you wanted to do that, you definitely could. Raz says, people love donuts. Raz says, Vindar, not all of us are citizens. Raz says, you can't be a citizen of a micronation in order to be an Aeternian citizen. Yep. Richard says, AP, another fun and informative video. I'm glad to hear it, Richard. Richard said, tell Tiffany good night for me. Agreed. Have a good night, Richard. UASR says, of course, by Ukraine, I mean Chernobyl. Richard said, Aeternia forever. Aeternia forever, Richard. Raz says, and a lot of us have micronations. Raspberry says, Chernobyl was taken by Russia. UASR says, it was first RBMK design. Lindo says, I appreciate the offer, but I'm a leader of my own micronation and a government official in another. Very cool. Good luck. UASR says, they learned to buy cheap equipment. Makes sense. They learned it to buy cheap equipment. And it says not buy. Okay, interesting. Well, still, I'm excited to have had everybody as a part of the stream. I appreciate you guys hanging out. We have 6 viewers and 12 likes. I appreciate you guys helping us out with the likes. Legitimately, that's going to help us out in the watch time. The more likes that a video initially gets after we finish streaming, the better that video performs. For some reason or another, YouTube goes, ooh, a lot of people, well, it makes sense why they do, but they go, ooh, a lot of people like this when it's streamed. We're going to advertise it to a ton of people. And then people watch it. People hang out. So you guys are helping us to grow. Thank you so much. I will see you next time. And Aeternia forever. Again, remember, stream tomorrow, probably 10 or 11 a.m. Central Daylight Time. So come see us and come hang out with us. Peace, guys.